What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 8WR Open Black Lens Bracket 136 Close Black Lens Bracket Challenge 3 Tails, Reward Flying Thunder God? After a long time of making love, the simple room was in a mess. This time, Yagyu Tsuki was rarely in a passive state, because the drunk Yuhi Kurenai was very aggressive, hiss. Because Yagyu Tsuki had no clothes now, he could only temporarily use the ability of Zanpakuto to wear the death suit. He looked at Yuhi Kurenai sleeping soundly on the sofa and rubbed her shoulder with a small and cute tooth mark. It hurts. Sister Hong Hong really bites people. Ding, it's 12 o'clock, sign in successfully. Get 3 Tails Challenge Ticket. Challenge Content. Defeat 3 Tails. Duration. 3 months. Challenge Success. Get Flying Thunder God Technique. Challenge Failure. Sign in will be suspended for 1 week. Close Black Lens Bracket. The system asked, does the master accept the challenge? 3 Tails. It's easy to defeat this beast, but the question is, can it be resurrected within 3 months? Lu Shengyue frowned slightly. In his memory of traveling through time, 3 Tails was resurrected 2 years and 3 years later, but the challenge period was only 3 months. It's easy to defeat 3 Tails, but if 3 Tails is not resurrected, then it's meaningless no matter how easy it is to defeat. How to defeat it without a toy? The system said, answer, 3 Tails will be fully resurrected in a week. Lu Shengyue was slightly stunned. 3 Tails will be fully resurrected in a week? Lu Shengyue asked in his heart, is it accurate? The system said, reply to the master, it's very accurate. 3 Tails will definitely talk in a week. Really? If 3 Tails is not resurrected in advance, then it's your responsibility no matter how you look at it, and there's no need to suspend the sign in at that time. Lu Shengyue said in his heart, if 3 Tails is not resurrected, you have to suspend the sign in for a week. Be careful that I will go on strike. Yagyu Tsuki said in his heart, accept the challenge. 3 Tails will be resurrected in a week, but the resurrection location has not been determined, so for the time being, Tsunade and Terumi Mei need to send a large number of tools to investigate the situation in the sea. Tsunade-sama, when have you not had a good drink? Kato Shizune hugged the pink piglet and looked at the drunken Tsunade with a worried face. Since she learned that Tsunade was pregnant, she has been frantically persuading Tsunade to drink less. In fact, she had sobered up halfway through, and she was just pretending to sleep, because she had just experienced those things, and she was a little shy to see Lu Shengyue in such a short time. Tsunade's delicate and cute face was red, and he held his chin with his hand and looked at Yagyu Tsuki's new clothes drunkenly, saying in a teasing tone, it's quite handsome. The system said, please rest assured, master. Because you have activated the Tensigen, the resurrection period of 3 Tails has been shortened. They will be resurrected in the sea within a week, but the exact location cannot be estimated yet. Although Tsunade-sama is the best medical ninja, there is no problem with drinking during pregnancy, but it's better to drink less, right? She is the new 5th Hokage Tsunade. Having said that, how can a pregnant woman drink? Terumi Mei looked at the bottles on the floor, then looked at Tsunade, who was blushing and drunk but looked cute, and sighed silently, oh, he can drink a lot. Ahem, let's talk business. Yagyu Tsuki coughed lightly, 3 Tails will be resurrected in the near future. According to my guess, it will be completely resurrected in about a week. Kato Shizune complained, also, Tsunade-sama is skipping work every day, and it's me who is busy with a lot of shit every day. Not long after Yagyu Yu left, the system encouraged, master, come on. Hurry up and get the wine, I want to have a good drink today. Tsunade looked at Terumi Mei and asked, are you going back tomorrow? What's wrong? Yagyu Tsuki saw that Tsunade and Terumi Mei didn't say anything, and Kato Shizune looked at him curiously. Tsunade put her arm around Shizune's shoulders and laughed heartily, don't be so petty, let's drink together. Tsunade asked with a smile, is it good, Sister Hong Hong? Yagyu Yu walked to the sleeping Yuhi Kurenai, pinched Yuhi Kurenai's fair face, and when he saw that the latter did not respond, he used the teleportation to leave. Hey 007, are you happy drinking? A faint chuckle sounded, and Yagyu Tsuki appeared next to the 2 women in an instant. Terumi Mei nodded slightly, yes, I have to go back to the Mist Village tomorrow, and there are still many things waiting for me to deal with. It's so annoying, busy with a lot of trivial things every day. The clothing doesn't matter, anyway, I have something to say. Yagyu Tsuki sat on the chair and took a sip of the wine bottle. Hiss, it hurts. Yuhi Hong slowly opened her eyes, and just as she was about to sit up, she felt the pain in her drum, causing her eyebrows to frown slightly, and she took a breath of cold air. The woman with blonde hair and twin ponytails sat cross-legged on the slightly cool couch. Her delicate and cute face was slightly red, and her white and tender toes were raised. The huge breasts on her chest rose and fell, and she was holding the bottle of wine and swaying and shouting. One move is enough to defeat the beast 3 Tails, so this time it is a completely free ability, there is no reason to refuse, but refusing the challenge will stop signing in for a week, and stopping for a week will reduce the reward by 7 times. Shizune. If it was before, the time-space ability would be very useful, but now, With both Tensigen and Ryujin Jaka, the bonus of Flying Thunder God is not that great. The system said, answer, it is the system's guess. Yagyu Tsuki said in his heart, shut up. A pub. Is this clothing? A ninja tool? It looks hard, but the fabric feels soft. Terumi Mei tugged at the corner of Yagyu Tsuki's clothing, and looked at the death suit with a little curiosity. It can be regarded as getting what you want, right? Yuhi Hong sat up, grabbed the quilt to cover her snow-white body, and raised the corners of her mouth slightly to show a hint of happiness. You said it so directly, even I would blush. Yagyu Tsuki's mouth twitched slightly. Tsunade was like two different people when he was not drinking and when he was drunk. Open black lens bracket 137 close black lens bracket 3 tails as a gift. Villages take action. 3 tails will be resurrected in the near future? Everyone in the audience was shocked. The tailed beasts are weapons that can intimidate a country and are also a tool to maintain the balance between major countries. The information that 3 tails will be resurrected in the near future is shocking. If this is spread out, it will cause chaos in the ninja world. Terumi Mei was slightly stunned. Since the end of the Blood Mist Village, Yagura has disappeared with 3 tails. The Mist Village has not had a chance to find 3 tails, and there is not even any information about 3 tails. But now hearing the news that Yagura Yu said that 3 tails will be resurrected within the next week, Terumi Mei's fingertips trembled slightly, and a feeling of joy surged in her heart. Soon, each village began to act. The Kirigakure also began to take action. Yagyu Tsuki led Team 7 to leave the village and went to the seaside while teaching Team 7 to practice. Shizune, go find 5 Jōnin who are currently in the village. I will notify Anbu. Tsunade stood up and left. Tsunade suggested, damn white hair, you send her back, your instant body should be able to reach the head of the village quickly. Is it accurate? Tsunade crossed his hands and dragged his chin. Although Yagyu Tsuki was a very playful person, Yagyu Tsuki was very reliable in terms of information, and especially when things were serious, almost no one could be more reliable than Yagyu Tsuki. For example, Shao. Only these people present, of course, it doesn't matter if the news spreads, who dares to rob me there? Yagyu Tsuki's arrogant words were very natural, as if he said something casually, but the fact was indeed so, it didn't matter if the news spread, he just sat there, even the old man Tsuchikage had to give him face. I understand, I'll send someone to investigate. Terumi Mei nodded slightly, and then a hint of hesitation flashed in her eyes, 3 tails. She wanted to ask, after capturing 3 tails, who would own the tailed beast? But thinking about it, with Yagyu Tsuki's personality, he should take the tailed beast for himself. 3 tails will be yours after I solve it. Yagyu Tsuki saw that Terumi Mei had something to say, and he could probably guess what this woman wanted to say, so he stood up and sat next to Terumi Mei. Lu Shengyue lifted Terumi Mei's fair chin and said in a seductive tone, but the painting. You belong to me. Who did you hear that from? Is the news accurate? Tsunade put away his drunken state and looked at Yagyu Yu with a serious face. I'll go back to the Mist Village first. Terumi Mei stood up and patted her wrinkled clothes. She only wanted to go back to the Mist Village to give orders and find the lost 3 tails in the Mist Village as soon as possible. Well, be careful in public places. Tsunade coughed lightly, and a sour feeling surged in his heart. So from the beginning, he was planning to help her catch 3 tails? Of course, there are still reckless men. Okay, damn white-haired. Tsunade sent a large number of Anbu to investigate the sea, and the elite Jōnin team consisting of Might Guy, Kakashi, and Asuma, brought their own genin and Shuji to investigate. Yagyu Tsuki said, anyway, send someone to investigate first. Terumi Mei saw the teasing in Lu Shengyue's eyes and knew that Lu Shengyue was doing this on purpose. He probably wanted to hear something good, so he said in a joking tone, what a good man who makes people's heart beat. Terumi Mei had a serious expression and asked in a deep voice, who knows that 3 tails will be resurrected? But to be honest, is this the sense of security of having a boyfriend? Accurate. Yagyu Tsuki said, send people to investigate in the sea, a large-scale investigation, and notify me after the discovery. I will be responsible for capturing the beast. To be honest, although it's okay to give 3 tails to the Mist Village, it seems that the damn white-haired has never given me anything, right? The child in the belly is a gift. Yes, Master Tsunade. After Kato Shizune reacted, he looked at the bottles on the ground and thought to himself that it was not good. Master Tsunade seemed to have not paid yet. Yeah, I think so too. Lu Shengyue looked at Terumi Mei strangely. He could come out. Terumi Mei seemed to be misunderstanding something. Backquote idiot, this is a gift from God. Tsunade opened Yagyu Tsuki's hand and rolled his eyes at Yagyu Tsuki. Yagyu Tsuki pinched Tsunade's drunken and hot face, and said with a smile, do you want a gift too? The one in your belly is it? He was still looking forward to encountering an enemy during the capture of 3 tails this time, and it would be best if someone would hinder him from capturing 3 tails, so that he could test Ryujin Jaka once. But it doesn't matter. After defeating 3 tails will be useless, and you can take the reward task reward with peace of mind. Is there a gift-giving person like this? Terumi Mei was a little moved. Lu Shengyue went to capture 3 tails on purpose, and even took the attitude of taking action if someone interfered. and then wanted to hand over the captured three tails to her. What a trouble. Yagyu Tsuki picked up Terumi, Dino's, Mei, and before Terumi Mei could react, he used the instant body to disappear out of thin air. Do I need to listen to anyone else? Who do you think I am? Yagyu crossed his legs, picked up the bottle and gulped down a big gulp. His faint smile gave people a sense of confidence. A ninja of his level, does he still need to listen to others? It stands to reason that others should listen to him. You even went out of your way to capture three tails and give them to Terumi Mei. Open black lens bracket 138 close black lens bracket practice of chakra nature transformation. The border of the land of fire. The sky was cloudy and foggy. Because it had just rained heavily, the air was damp. With Yagyu Tsuki leading the team, the members of Team 7 followed behind. It's so annoying. The humidity is so heavy that it makes people feel upset. Lu Shengyue ate salt and pepper potato chips and glanced at the gray sky. He felt annoyed. What he hated most was rainy days, especially the humid weather after rain. Every time he encountered a rainy day, he would feel upset. I understand. Uchiha Sasuke thought for a moment. It is difficult to release chakra, and it is even more difficult to maintain the release of chakra while injecting thunder attribute into chakra. Uchiha Sasuke walked to Yagyu Tsuki with his hands in his pockets, glanced coldly at Uzumaki Naruto, then looked at Yagyu Tsuki, and said respectfully, "Don't pay attention to that idiot, Yagyu teacher, please teach me the agreed move." Lu Shengyue put his hands covered with potato chips towards Haruno Sakura, wiped her red cheongsam and said casually, "It's okay, it's okay. Xiao Gang has been very broad-minded recently. At most, I will dig out two of your eyes." It's all teacher Lu Sheng's fault. Dig out two eyes? Haruno Sakura said secretly in his heart. Although the moves are different, the nature is all the same. Listen to me, all three of you. What you are going to learn now is. What should you do? First, inject the thunder attribute into the released chakra, and control the thunder attribute according to the feeling of using fire style. Yagyu Tsukishiro raised his hand, and light blue chakra emerged from his palm, and then injected thunder attribute into the chakra, and instantly the chakra turned into pale blue lightning. The so-called nature transformation is to inject attributes into chakra, feel your own attributes and then integrate them into chakra. The current on Yagyu's fingertips disappeared and turned into a dark red flame. Before practicing Sage Mode, it is also a good thing to master nature transformation, which can facilitate the subsequent manipulation of natural energy. It only took him one night to completely master the power after the change. Now he no longer has the sensory errors after becoming stronger. Yagyu Tsukishiro said, "Let's start first. You can ask questions at any time." Although Sakura-chan is very important, he now wants to defeat Sasuke more and regain the face he lost in the last defeat. Yes. Haruno Sakura responded, secretly complaining in his heart. If the Hyuga clan found out about the last time he took a bath with teacher Lu Sheng, it would be embarrassing at most, but if Lord Tsunade found out, it would be a death sentence. Is this called broad-mindedness? It seems like nothing was said, and I thought teacher Yagyu would say some tricks, but it turned out to be no different from the usual practice. Don't wipe it on me. Haruno Sakura hurriedly took 2 steps back, took out a tissue to wipe the soiled cheongsam, thinking secretly in his heart. The 3 brats in Team 7 can learn chakra's nature transformation at the same time, because Haruno Sakura is practicing Yang attribute nature transformation, and Uchiha is about to learn Reikari, the ultimate lightning attribute nature transformation. Your practice remains the same, use chakra to grab the liquid. Yagyu looked at Haruno Sakura, only by injecting Yang attributed chakra can you stick to the flowing liquid. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't do the task assigned by teacher Yagyu Tsuki. Okay. Everyone in Class 7 responded, and everyone began to practice with great anticipation, and then, a few hours passed, and everyone's anticipation gradually disappeared, replaced by confusion and bewilderment. After a slight pause, Yagyu Tsuki raised a finger, and light blue chakra emerged from the fingertips, and then injected nature transformation into the chakra. Light blue chakra turns into blue current. Yagyu Tsuki threw the potato chip packaging he had eaten back, patted the crumbs on his hands, and said lightly, "Then let's get started, and practice happily while walking." Might Guy and his men should have arrived at the beach and started investigating the chakra fluctuations of 3 tails. It's just right that I can practice while walking here. When I arrive at the beach, I should be able to meet the resurrected 3 tails. Haruno Sakura wore the same red cheongsam as always, put his hands behind his back and walked to Lu Shengyu's side. He asked carefully, "Teacher Lu Sheng, what happened last time? Didn't Lord Tsunade find out anything?" "Tsunade-sama. Is it so scary?" Naruto stared at the leaves in his palms. He could release a small amount of chakra, but he couldn't cut the leaves at all. He threw the leaves to the ground, held his head with both hands and roared to the sky, "Ah!" Yagyu picked up a leaf, put it on the palm of the vortex Naruto, and said, use chakra to cut the leaves, and you can use shadow clone to practice at the same time." Quote. But Uzumaki Naruto. Although I plan to teach Naruto Sage Mode first, the 3 Tails mission requires leaving the village, so I will wait until I finish hunting the 3 Tails beasts, and then teach Naruto to practice Sage Mode when I return to the village. Uzumaki Naruto saw Haruno Sakura whispering to Yagyu Tsuki all the way, and finally couldn't stand it anymore. A hash appeared on his forehead, and he said angrily, Yagyu teacher. Damn it, can you stop whispering? When will we start training? Chakra's nature transformation. Nature transformation. I can finally, ADCG, learn nature transformation. The 3 members of Team 7 were excited. They always heard the word nature transformation before, but they had no way to touch nature transformation, and now they can finally start practicing nature transformation. Use chakra to cut leaves? Uzumaki Naruto's fox face showed doubt, looking at the emerald green leaves in his palm blankly, muttering, how to cut leaves with chakra. What about me? Uchiha Sasuke asked. 139, Three Tails Journey, The Trace of Akatsuki. Uchiha Sasuke heard Naruto's roar and looked over coldly. Seeing Naruto holding his head in annoyance, he snorted, super idiot. Uzumaki Naruto pouted, holding his head with both hands, and said unhappily, Tisk, you can't do it, right? What's so arrogant about it? Don't compare me with you. Uchiha Sasuke said proudly, and then he was in no mood to pay attention to Uzumaki Naruto, and began to sense the lightning attribute chakra on his own. Haruno Sakura frowned, glared at Uzumaki Naruto, and said speechlessly, Naruto, you are very noisy. Naruto Uzumaki yelled in dissatisfaction, Sakura-chan, it's Sasuke who's the cocky one, why are you blaming me? I told you you're noisy. Haruno Sakura's face darkened, and a hash appeared on her forehead. She seemed to have grasped something just now, but after Naruto Uzumaki's noise, she forgot everything. Bang! Haruno Sakura punched Naruto hard, and Naruto Uzumaki was knocked out. After rolling on the ground for several times, he lay on the ground with his 4 legs up in the air. Haruno Sakura shook his fist and said angrily, if you keep making noise, I'll beat you up. Naruto Uzumaki got up, covered his red and swollen face, and looked at Haruno Sakura pitifully, I've already beaten you. I see. Haruno Sakura nodded. Shua. A figure landed beside Yagyu Yu. He was wearing a green Jōnin vest, his silver-white hair was combed up, his forehead protector covered one eye, and the black mask connected to his clothes covered his entire face. Yagyu-sensei actually asked Sakura-chan to use chakra? How could it be possible? Strange. We're already at the beach, why do we need to practice? How can we concentrate on practicing? Uzumaki Naruto complained, sitting cross-legged on the ground, staring at the emerald green Toho in the palm of his hand. This person was Hitaki Kakashi. Haruno Sakura retracted her gaze, gently pulled the corner of Yagyu Tsuki's clothes, and asked curiously, Teacher Yagyu, what are we doing at the beach? Sakura-chan's fist is so scary, even scarier than before. It was the first time for the people of Team 7 to see the sea, because before they became ninjas, they had no chance to leave the village. Yagyu Tsuki raised a finger and kindly reminded, next time you hit someone, use chakra. Hitting someone with chakra instantly is also a disguised form of practice. Damn it. She only knew that there was a mission, but Teacher Yagyu didn't say what the mission was, so what mission was to be done at the beach? What? Haruno Sakura was speechless, opened Lu Shunyu's hand, rubbed his butt, turned around and walked away to practice. Is it really that nice? Fool. What's so special about the sea? Only strength is everything. No wonder you always lose to me. Uchiha Sasuke sneered, then walked to the edge of the forest, sat on the ground with his back against the tree trunk, and concentrated on condensing the thunder attribute chakra. Go practice. Although it's the first time to see the sea, don't be too playful. Lu Shunyue patted Haruno Sakura's butt. Led by Yagyu Tsuki, Team 7 practiced while walking, and the group arrived at the beach noisily. Soon, Yagyu Yu was eating barbecue and watching Team 7 practice hard. Lu Shunyue touched Haruno Sakura's head and said with a faint smile, you guys practice for the time being, let's have a barbecue, and when it gets lively, you can watch the show. The teacher specially takes you to see the world and let you appreciate the high-level combat power. The sky was gray and foggy, raindrops were falling, and huge waves were beating on the beach. The people of Team 7 stood on the beach, looking at the endless blue, and they felt an indescribable feeling in their hearts. High level. Haruno Sakura was puzzled. Everyone in the 7th class was confused and didn't understand what Lu Shunyue meant. What does it mean to see a high-level combat power? If I use chakra's strange power to hit someone, I'm afraid I'll be knocked unconscious by a punch, right? Uzumaki Naruto hurriedly covered his mouth, fearing that he would be beaten if he said something wrong. He no longer had the courage to disturb Haruno Sakura's practice, and could only stare at Yagyu Tsuki with anger. Beach. Hitaki Kakashi had a pair of dead fish eyes, and whispered in Yagyu Yu's ear, Yagyu, the mist ninja found a huge chakra fluctuation on the seabed, it should be the 3 tails we are looking for, but we found traces of Akatsuki yesterday, they are likely to snatch the 3 tails. Teacher Yagyu seems to like touching my drum? 0. Could it be catching fish? If I really anger Sakura-chan, I'm afraid I'll be beaten to death, right? Oh, tisk. What are you bragging about? I will be the first to complete the training this time. Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth, recalling the defeat by Sasuke. He really couldn't refute Sasuke's words now. He could only work hard to become stronger and regain his face to refute Sasuke's sarcasm. Yagyu-sensei knows how to come up with bad ideas all day long. Soon, 3 days passed. Since the student is so hardworking, I will just eat a barbecue and wait for the beast three tails quietly. Yagyu slapped his hand to the ground, summoning a grill and a pile of bright high-grade beef in the form of summoning. 140. Deidara and Scorpion, explosion is art. Akatsuki. After thinking for a moment, Yagyu Tsuki picked up a piece of barbecue and put it into his mouth, saying with a hint of expectation, it's good that they will show up, just in time to use them as a tool to test the knife. In the eyes of others, Akatsuki's appearance to snatch three tails is a crisis, but in his eyes, Akatsuki's appearance to snatch three tails is simply a chance to show off and test new power. The stronger the enemy is, the more it can highlight the power. If the enemy is too weak, it's meaningless to pretend, and every member of Akatsuki is cage level, which is simply a perfect tool for showing off. Hitaki Kakashi was embarrassed. It stands to reason that they are likely to encounter enemies. Any ninja will have a sense of crisis, but Mr. Yanagi, 210, is looking forward to the appearance of the enemy. Hitaki Kakashi asked, is it okay? Yanagi ate barbecue and said vaguely, it's okay. The plan remains the same. I'll eat barbecue, you investigate, and I'll deal with the enemy when it appears. You don't have to worry about anything with me here. Since I'm sitting here, Akatsuki should feel the crisis more. In terms of his current strength, it should be the enemy who feels the crisis, because in his eyes any plan is meaningless, and any routine is nonsense in the face of absolute power. Yes, Naruto is in your hands. Hitaki Kakashi looked at Naruto, who was practicing hard in the distance with a pair of dead fish eyes, and said, he is indeed getting stronger. Teacher, it would be great if you could see it. Yeah, with an excellent teacher teaching, it's hard to take a step even if you want to. Yagyu Tsuki raised his chin proudly. You are right. Hitaki Kakashi nodded. He agreed with Yagyu Tsuki's statement, because being able to teach all members of Team 7 Rasengan in a short period of time proved that Yagyu was very good at teaching people. Yagyu Tsuki frowned and smacked his lips and said, you really know how to find the right time. You just act according to circumstances. Yagyu glanced at Kakashi, and then disappeared out of thin air, picking up the members of Team 7 and appearing in the distance. The white doll fell to the ground, and then a violent explosion swept across the beach, and the sea in this area was shaking violently. Thick and pungent black smoke rose from the ground, and the raging fire was wrapped around the black smoke, and the two formed a small mushroom cloud. The sudden change alarmed all the ninjas in the sea. At this time, the ninjas who were investigating three tails on the seabed swam quickly to the sea surface. Above the sky, a pure white clay dragon was suspended in the air, and two people dressed strangely stood on the clay dragon. They were all wearing black coats that covered their whole bodies, and the coats were embroidered with red cloud patterns on the surface. This is the standard dress of members of the Akatsuki organization. Shie-dan, see, this is my art. The moment of disappearance is called beauty, Deidara's blonde hair fluttered in the wind, and every time it fluttered, his mechanical left eye would be exposed, and he looked at the mushroom cloud below with an excited expression. What will disappear cannot be called art, only what is eternal and unchanging is art. Scorpion was covered with a red cloud coat, lying like a real scorpion, with the iron tail behind him still swaying slightly, and his real body was hidden inside the scorpion puppet. Scorpion, you will soon know that explosion is the most beautiful art, Deidara said. If someone said that explosion is not art, he would have thrown some detonating clay over, but he is not more respectful of those with artistic cells. Scorpion said hoarsely, according to the masked man, three tails will be resurrected soon. Let's clean up the battlefield and capture three tails as soon as possible. A member of the Akatsuki organization, Hitaki Kakashi pushed away the earth wall, slowly lifted the forehead protector covering his eyes, revealing the scarlet 3-tomo Sharingan, and looked at the Akatsuki duo on the dragon in the sky. When did these two people appear? Just a second before the puppet landed, he couldn't even detect the enemy's breath. If Mr. Yagyu hadn't noticed at first, he would probably be swallowed by the explosion. Hitaki Kakashi looked solemn, staring at Deidara and Scorpion vigilantly, thinking secretly in his heart. These two are very powerful, at least they are Hokage-level ninjas. Copy ninja, Hitaki Kakashi, where is Yagyu Tsuki? Don't tell me he's dead. Scorpion slowly turned around and looked at Hitaki Kakashi below. Hey, didn't anyone teach you to be quiet when others are eating? You ruined the high-quality meat, how can you accompany me? A cold voice sounded behind Deidara and Scorpion. Their hearts trembled and they turned around and saw Yagyu Tsuki standing in the sky with his feet. Yagyu Tsuki carried the confused Haruno Sakura on his shoulders, and held the confused Naruto and Sasuke in his left and right hands respectively. You can actually stand in the sky, Deidara saw Yagyu Tsuki standing in the sky with his feet, like 4.7 standing on land, and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. It was the first time he saw someone standing in the sky. Is this also the ability of the blood limit? There is no need to make a fuss. You will be surprised later. How should I put it? Let's make a long story short. Who will go first? Yagyu Tsuki said proudly, looking down at Deidara and Scorpion with a look like looking at ants. His Tensigen can use the truth-seeking ball, and with it he can fly freely. After he obtained the Ryujin Jaka, he gained the ability of a Shinigami, and Shinigami can walk in the air. Either way can make him float in the air, so there is no need to make a fuss about this. Open black lens bracket 141 close black lens bracket 1 man versus 2 Shaos, Shunpo. Sasori glanced at the Team 7 carried by Yagyu Tsuki and said in a deep voice, "Arrogant boy, you are so tired that you want to be my enemy." "That's true, but if there is no audience, who will appreciate your embarrassing faces?" Yagyu Tsuki glanced at the Team 7 in his hand. "It's still troublesome to carry them.
Let's throw them away first. Yagyu teacher, are they Akatsuki?"
Uzumaki Naruto was confused for a moment, and looked at Deidara and Sasori in confusion. The clothes and dress of these two people are exactly the same as the dry glue they encountered last time. Yes, it's Akatsuki. Yagyu Tsuki nodded. Akatsuki. Uchiha Sasuke was emotional, his eyes turned into 3 scarlet magatama, staring at Deidara and Sasori in the distance, and recalling the previous encounter with Uchiha Itachi in his mind. Akatsuki, the organization where Itachi Minchiya belongs to. Damn it. What? Such terrible chakra. Haruno Sakura's pretty face was pale, looking at Deidara and Kisame in the distance, with panic in her eyes. Since she became stronger, she could sense chakra more clearly than before. She found that Deidara and Sasori's chakra was extremely terrible. "Teacher Yagyu, don't worry about us, just go and kill the enemy boldly, it's no problem for us to jump down from this height," Uzumaki Naruto encouraged. He was a little worried that Team 7 would hinder Yagyu Tsuki, so he deliberately said something to reassure Yagyu Tsuki. "Really? Then just watch my performance honestly." Yagyu Tsuki threw the 3 members of Team 7 to the ground. B**************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************� Looking at the infinitely approaching ground, he shouted in panic, "I'm sorry, 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 Mr. Yagyu. Save me, I just lied, falling from this height will kill people." Shua. Hitaki Kakashi jumped up and caught the 3 members of the falling Team 7, then jumped back and landed at a farther place. "Huh. I was scared to death." Uzumaki Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Uchiha Sasuke also breathed a sigh of relief, looked up at the sky with some fear, then glared at Naruto coldly, and said in a deep voice, "Idiot, you have no ability to pretend." With his current strength, if he fell quickly from such a high position to the ground, he would probably be smashed into a pulp the moment he landed. Mr. Yagyu just planned to put their Team 7 on the ground, but the idiot Uzumaki Naruto insisted on saying that. Haruno Sakura frowned, looked at the situation in the sky, and said worriedly, "Is Mr. Yagyu okay? You should know his strength better than me. If we help rashly, we may be affected." Hitaki Kakashi looked at the heavy situation in the sky with dead eyes, and recalled what happened on the Hokage rock some time ago. At that time, Yagyu used an extremely terrifying high-temperature move, and anyone who approached would be evaporated.
So if we help rashly now, we may be affected by Yagyu's moves, which will also hinder Yagyu's ability to use.
Ugly. Cough. Uchiha Sasuke was about to call Haruno Sakura ugly, but when he recalled the last time he was punched, he coughed awkwardly and changed his words. With the strength of Teacher Yagyu, how could he lose to Shao? Put away your useless worries. At this time, the sky. Yagyu clenched his hands in the air, grabbed a retro Zanpakuto, pointed the tip of the knife at Deidara and Scorpion, and said lightly, "I am a teacher after all, and I will give you a suggestion. When facing an unbeatable enemy, you must use all your strength at the first time, and then look for an opportunity to run away with your tail between your legs. But I don't plan to let you escape, so, I'm sorry. Let's stop talking nonsense here, you all come together." Yagyu Tsuki didn't move, because he was waiting for Deidara and Scorpion to perform, waiting to see the power of the two, and then counterattack with overwhelming violence, which is his usual style. "Hey, you're the one talking all the time, right?" Deidara reached into his waistbag, biting the clay with his palm, and yelled, "Scorpion, don't do it. I want to use my art to shut up this tongue-thirsty man, huh? Don't waste too much time, we still have a mission to do. I'll go to Three Tails first. You deal with Yagyu Tsuki as soon as possible." After Scorpion finished speaking, he leapt into the distant sea. Wang. Lu Shungyue disappeared out of thin air, and appeared in front of Scorpion in an instant, then raised his leg and kicked Scorpion's abdomen fiercely. Bang! 587 kicked Scorpion violently with a kick, and Scorpion flew out. Scorpion leapt out like a cannonball and hit the clay dragon heavily. Then the clay dragon fell to the ground with Scorpion and Deidara. The 3 of them fell to the ground and smashed a small hole in the ground. Thick dust drifted with the vibration. "Didn't I say it? You all come together. If one person is missing, you can't solve my lust." Yagyu Tsuki stood in the sky, looking down at the pit below with indifference and pride, watching the clay dragon that turned into mud in the pit, and Deidara and Scorpion who were getting up. What a fast speed! Scorpion's heart trembled, and he glanced at the cracks in the shell. With his strength, he couldn't see the speed of Yagyu Tsuki in the moment just now, and he couldn't react until he fell to the ground.
What speed is this? Is it a teleportation of time and space?
That move just now was Shunpo. It's useless even if I explain it to you, Yagyu Tsuki said lightly. He just used the Shinigami ability Shunpo, which is an ability that can move at super high speed. Open black lens bracket 142 close black lens bracket C4 Garuda, Bankai Zancudo. Shunpo. The audience was puzzled. It was the first time they heard of Shunpo. Could it be a displacement evolved from the instant body? But in any case, Yagyu Tsuki's speed was really fast. Even if Kakashi used the 3-Tomo Sharingan, he didn't see Yagyu Tsuki using Shunpo to knock the enemy away. You seem to have some strength to defeat Kisame, but don't act cool in front of me. And, what does your look mean? Deidara climbed up and looked up at Yagyu Tsuki's arrogant gaze. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes, and he recalled the scene of his defeat to Uchiha Itachi. Damn it. Same eyes, same attitude. The look in Yagyu Tsuki's eyes was exactly the same as that guy's, and Uchiha Itachi's at that time. Both of them were the look of contempt for my art. Yagyu Tsuki shrugged, spread his hands with an innocent expression and said, I can't help it, you are just weak in my eyes. He didn't pretend to be cool, nor did he exaggerate, all he said was the truth. Kisame and Itachi were very weak in his eyes, even the top cage level couldn't touch him, let alone Deidara and Scorpion, 2 ordinary cage level. Do you want to look at ants seriously? Yagyu Tsuki doesn't have that habit. It's those eyes, those calm eyes, it's so uncomfortable to look at, denying my art? I will never allow such eyes. Deidara grabbed a large piece of clay.
Bite the clay angrily, and then spit out a large piece of clay from his mouth, and the clay turned into a clone that looked exactly like him.
C4. Garuda. The doll expanded at a very fast speed, and finally became a rock-like shape, and a terrible breath emanated from the inside of the doll, which caused the faces of everyone in the audience to change drastically. This move is Deidara's strongest attack, a move developed to defeat Uchiha Itachi. After the doll explodes, countless microscopic spiders will be thrown out. Clay spiders that cannot be seen by the naked eye will spread to the air in the entire area. People will inhale spiders after breathing, and then the cells will be destroyed from the inside by the spiders. A very scary move. Is it still a while before resurrection? Yagyu ignored the C4 doll and used the misty blue Tensigan to look at the shaking sea in the distance. He can now clearly sense the 3 tails chakra, but it will take a few minutes before the 3 tails are resurrected. Yagyu landed on the ground, looked at the rock-like doll lightly and said, use it, I'll play with you until the end. Because he is an excellent time traveler, he knows all of Deidara's abilities. C4 Garuda is nothing more than drilling into the interior to destroy cells. It is a small trick that there is no need to worry about. This is my art. Hey, Tungwola shouted. Hey, such a big bomb is very dangerous. Uzumaki Naruto fell to the ground and pointed at the expanding clone doll in the distance. He just saw that Deidara's ability is clay explosion. Then the clay like a hill. The power can be imagined. Just thinking about it makes his scalp numb. Run, damn. It's too late. Uchiha Sasuke's face changed drastically. Ong. The clay doll like a hill glowed, emitting a destructive chakra airflow, then expanded like a balloon until it exploded, but it did not happen as everyone imagined. The puppet would cause a violent explosion after it was activated. Instead, there was no movement after the puppet cracked. What? What happened? Everyone in the audience was confused, and the 3 members of Team 7 were even more unbelievable. The puppet that looked scary just now did not react at all after the explosion. What happened? Vortex Naruto squatted on the ground, holding his head with both hands in panic. After 2 or 3 seconds, he found that he was unharmed. He raised his head and looked over in confusion, muttering, dud. Deidara faintly heard Naruto's muttering in the distance, and said with a proud expression, how could my art be a dud? To be honest, it is a very interesting move. Through the microbial spider, it destroys the cells inside the enemy and can win without others noticing. Yagyu Tsuki inserted Zanpakuto into the ground and asked lightly, there is a problem. What problem? Deidara wondered, thinking secretly in his heart. Listening to what Yagyu said, did he know the ability of C4? How is it possible? This is the first time I use C4 Garuda. Can your spider withstand the temperature? Yagyu burst out a strong airflow, and the scorching high-temperature airflow blew away everything around. The temperature of the entire sea area rose rapidly, and even the overwhelming sea currents were gradually fading. It was more like evaporating gradually. Bankai. All things in the world are ashes. Zanhuo Tachi. The retro Zanpakuto turned into a rusty Madara Tachi, and a large area of high-temperature fire ignited around Yagyu's body. In just a moment, the spiders in the room were evaporated. 0143012003 Philo 20401280. It is said that he can ignore C4 Garuda, even if he is invaded by spiders after breathing, it doesn't matter. The speed at which spiders destroy cells is not as fast as his automatic recovery speed. But, he always has to pretend. All the flames around Wang entangled the Zanhuo Tachi, and then all merged into the knife, causing the temperature of the knife to reach a terrifying level. Lu Shengyue waved the Zanhuo Tachi slightly, and the moment the tip of the knife touched the ground, it cut a canyon-like crack on the ground. Qian Nuo Zhao. Lu Shengyue's whole body exuded high temperature, which was more like colorless flames. He carried the Zanhuo Tachi on his shoulders, looked down at Deidara indifferently and proudly, and said, in case you say I'm bullying, I'll give you another chance to attack. Do you have another one? A more interesting trick, the so-called self-explosion, this temperature. How is it possible? Deidara and Xie were stunned, looking at the arrogant Lu Shengyue, and saw that the space around Lu Shengyue was distorted by the burning temperature. They felt this in vain high temperature, and gradually felt a desire to escape in their hearts. What is this? Fire style, or is it a bloodline limit? Deidara and Sasori were confused, and so were the 3 members of Team 7. They stared at Yagyu Tsuki dumbfounded. They were Yagyu Tsuki's students, but it was the first time they saw Yagyu Tsuki use Ryujin Jaka. 143. Scorpion of the Red Sand, 100 machines in action. How is it possible? Absolutely impossible, that kind of art. I won't allow it. Deidara looked at Yagyu Tsuki holding Zanpakuto with an expression of disbelief, shocked. His confident C4 Garuda was evaporated by Yagyu Tsuki's sword. C4 is his strongest art, how could it be easily destroyed, but the fact is that what Yagyu Tsuki used. Fire style. Bloodline limit. Ninja tools? These are not so important, the important thing is. Deidara can't tolerate the high temperature flame that despises his art. Deidara felt the high temperature emitted by Yagyu Tsuki, the extremely terrible high temperature, as if he would be burned to ashes if he approached it. The man said, how is it possible? Is that art? How is it possible? You seem to be very calm, is it okay to bring the audience? The Scorpion 007 of the Red Sand changed. Cracks appeared all over his body, and the scorpion-like shell fell to the ground, revealing the white jade puppet body, and a piece of meat was slowly beating in the heart. He could see that Yagyu Tsuki was very strong, and seemed to be even stronger than the rumors said, so before he really started fighting, he planned to fight in his strongest state. Red Sand Scorpion thought secretly. With Yagyu Tsuki's power to cut the ground with a light swing of the sword, if he was a little careless, he would definitely lose. Yagyu Tsuki ignored Deidara who was talking to himself, glanced at the heart of the Red Sand Scorpion, looked at the disgusting meat that was surging, and said, is it okay to expose your weakness? I don't mind putting on the shell again, anyway, you will be killed instantly by my move. I will make you into a puppet and put it in my collection. Red Sand Scorpion took out 2 scrolls and glanced at Deidara who was talking to himself beside him. Deidara seemed to be self-doubting, and there was no way to count on this guy for the time being. I'll do it myself. Red Secret Technique, 100 Machines Exercise. Bang! 2 strange scrolls disappeared, pale smoke covered the whole place, and 100 puppets appeared out of thin air. All the puppets were wearing dark red robes, floating in the sky as if still, and each puppet exuded a strong chakra, like a ninja with independent thoughts. Can he control 100 puppets at the same time, this guy? What a terrible strength. Hitaki Kakashi used the 3 Tomo Sharingan to stare at the 100 puppets in the sky. He could vaguely see a line, a light blue chakra line connecting the 100 puppets. Puppets? I remember that Kansoling used this similar ability. Uzumaki Naruto raised his head in panic, looking at the black mass of puppets in the sky, and swallowed a mouthful of saliva in panic. How is it possible? Controlling puppets requires very precise use of chakra. I have never heard of anyone being able to control 100 puppets at the same time. Uchiha Sasuke looked solemn, staring at the Red Sand Scorpion in the distance with a scarlet Sharingan. Before the Uchiha clan was exterminated, he had heard his family talk about puppeteers, a type of ninja. Being able to control 3 puppets at the same time is already the top puppeteer, but the Red Sand Scorpion can actually control 100 puppets at the same time. Whether it is the amount of chakra or the degree of mastery of chakra, it is an outrageous level. Is controlling 100 puppets powerful? Haruno Sakura was puzzled. She had never been involved in anything related to puppets. She just saw that there were a lot of puppets, but it seemed that each puppet was not that dangerous. Hitaki Kakashi said in a deep voice, very powerful. I have heard a rumor before. There is a genius ninja in San Shinobi village who once controlled more than 100 puppets and broke through a small country overnight. Although he had heard of it before, he had never seen a puppeteer who could control 100 puppets at the same time, and they all seemed to have certain strength.
This power is outrageous. I am afraid it can easily break through a small country. Break through a small country.
Everyone in Team 7 was confused. They had not been able to understand how powerful the Red Sand Scorpion's 100 machines maneuver was before. They just felt that it was a very dangerous move. But when they heard Kakashi say that it could break through a small country, they felt unbelievable. Take out so many toys, are you going to perform an opera? Lu Shengyue touched his chin and looked at the 100 puppets with a little curiosity. His perception ability is stronger than everyone else. He can clearly sense that each puppet has at least Chunin level chakra, and the 2 more peculiar puppets at the head have chakra that is even close to Jōnin level. These 100 puppets stacked together can indeed easily break through a small country, but breaking through a small country doesn't seem to be a big deal, right? Toys? Everyone in Class 7 was slightly startled, looking at the 100 puppets in the sky. Although they couldn't sense the enemy's strength, nor could they guess whether there was a gap between Yagyu Tsuki and the enemy, they at least knew that the 100 puppets could easily break through a small country.
Such a terrible puppet. Yagyu teacher actually said it was a toy.
Oh my god. How outrageous. Yagyu Tsuki looked at the Scorpion of the Red Sand, waved his hand and said, make a move, I'll back up. Open black lens bracket 144 close black lens bracket art is explosion.
Magnet style sand iron triangular pyramid. The red sand scorpion moved his fingers slightly, and among the puppets floating in the sky, a puppet with the appearance of the third cage formed a seal.
Boom boom. The beach began to tremble violently, and the sand iron like a huge wave rose from the ground, forming a triangular iron body as big as a rock mountain. The triangular iron body hit Yagyu Tsuki heavily, and the air was trembling wherever it passed. This shows how heavy this rock-like iron body is, at least hundreds of tons. Is this your move? It's not worth watching at all, leave. Waste. Yagyu Tsuki didn't move, and didn't even look at the infinitely approaching iron body, but put the Zanpakuto into the scabbard, and then posed a posture of drawing the sword. Zankatachi North. The world is ashes. Yagyu Tsuki slowly pulled out Zanpakuto, the rusty Madara blade gradually unsheathed. At this time the heat radiating from his body reached a higher level, the invisible and colorless flames burned iron body in an instant, the terrible heat covered the entire sea area, making the world fall into silence as if it was still. The whole world was suppressed by the heat. There were no waves, no sound, and the wind stopped. Ong. Yagyu Tsuki slashed at the red sand scorpion with a knife. The high temperature formed a slash to cut the ground. The red sand scorpion was slashed and burned to ashes, and even the sea behind the scorpion was cut open. The whole audience was silent. Everyone was confused, looking at Yagyu Tsuki's back dumbfounded, looking at the arrogant back holding the rusty sword. It's hard to say, just think of it as a fireworks show. Yagyu Tsuki snapped his fingers, and a dark red wall rose from the ground. The energy wall formed a barrier to wrap around Deidara. Damn. How could I? Deidara's whole body trembled and stiffened. He was controlled by the pupil power of Yagyu Tenseigan. He threw the coat embroidered with red clouds back, and his whole body gradually turned transparent. All chakras were flowing towards his heart. Does this situation make you feel uneasy? Deidara smiled wildly. His whole body was still expanding further, and the destructive chakra gradually covered the entire venue. How long can you maintain your calm attitude? My perfect art will surely move you. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and everyone looked at the distance in a daze, the large area of sea cut by a knife. The knife just now was really shocking, making everyone present feel unbelievable. It is also related to the fact that Scorpion is too weak. Moreover, Scorpion's body is very fragile, and even its weaknesses are exposed. My art is explosion. Scorpion is very strong, with real cage-level strength, but he was killed by Yagyu Yu with a single knife. Don't joke, it's obviously me who is good. The explosion is perfect. It is an art that will never lose to anyone. Deidara couldn't control his body. His body expanded rapidly like a balloon. He had a hideous and distorted expression on his face, and his emotions were almost reaching the point of collapse. Of course. I am obviously the best. How could I lose? How could I lose? Deidara didn't care about the impending self-destruction, but he couldn't accept the fact that Yagyu Tsuki killed Scorpion in 1 second, and he couldn't stand Yagyu's behavior of disrespecting his art. And my art will receive unprecedented praise, then you're dead. Deidara swelled to the size of a mountain, his whole body emitting a dangerous milky white light. Since Yagyu Tsuki wanted to witness his self-destruction, then he will also fully satisfy Yagyu's art. So strong. Is that art? Deidara was confused. He had seen many cage-level strongmen in the Akatsuki organization, but it was the first time he saw a ninja like Yagyu Yu whose power was beyond common sense. Kakashi had seen White Fang's top swordsmanship before, but it was the first time he saw such an outrageous swordsmanship with terrifying high temperature as just now. Unbelievable. So strong. Come on, tremble, surprise, despair, cry loudly. Everyone in the audience trembled in their hearts, looking at the mountain like Deidara. Everyone's eyes showed panic. The explosion of the bus is scary to think about. 10 kilometers. This guy is crazy. After I die, I will become art. This is an explosion that has never happened before. This land will be left with scars that have never been seen before. 0. Okay, then I'll let you see my ultimate art. Now I'm going to self-destruct. This is power. Is that art? How could this happen? I don't admit it. I will never admit it. He could ignore Deidara's self-explosion, but Team 7 would definitely be affected and killed. After Team 7 died, he would lose a lot of sign and rewards, so he would set up a barrier for the time being just in case.
This is outrageous. What was that just now? Fire style.
The explosion radius is 10 kilometers. I wonder where you can escape, huh? So cool, Mr. Yagyu taught me. I also want to learn such a cool swordsmanship. Too outrageous. Yagyu Yu put away his Zanpakuto and looked down with the misty blue Tenseigan Deidara, with his eyes fixed and emitting strange pupil power, said in a commanding tone, "You, self-destruct." He has achieved his goal. After testing the power of Ryujin Jaka, he has the power to instantly kill cage level with one sword. This is too much. Unbelievable. Open black lens bracket 145 close black lens bracket all enemies destroyed. Three tails appears. Bang. Deidara burst like a balloon, and the huge explosion swept the entire dark red barrier. The milky white light rose from the ground and turned into a mountain-sized Patrick star. The power of this explosion was very strong, because it could reach a diameter of 10 kilometers, but the explosion could not break the four red suns barrier, so the violent explosion was compressed into 100 meters. The power was almost comparable to the tailed beast bomb used by 10 Tails. But unfortunately, even 10 Tails' tailed beast bomb could not hurt the current Yagyu Tsuki, because after absorbing 10 Tails, it was the 6 paths mode, and his Tensigen had the power of 6 paths. In terms of eyes alone, it was already ahead, and there were several versions of the ninja world now. What's more, Yagyu Tsuki now has the strongest, 160, Zanpakuto Ryujin Jaka.
So even if Deidara exploded, there was no calendar to touch Yagyu Tsuki.
Ong. The giant milky white Patrick star disappeared, thick black smoke rolled and a very deep pit appeared on the ground, and Lu Shengyue walked out of the barrier unscathed. Lu Shengyue held a lollipop in his mouth, fanned the rolling black smoke in front of him with his hands, glanced at the huge pit with disgust, and coughed and said, "Cough cough cough, choked to death." Although this move is meaningless in his eyes, the power of Deidara's self-explosion is still considerable. The power can at least blow up Sand Shinobi Village, right? With Deidara's low-end cage-level strength, being able to use this level of self-explosion is also a thing worthy of praise. Lu Shengyue glanced at the sea in the distance. It's a pity that Three Tails is about to be resurrected, otherwise he can't play with Devola. Everyone in the audience was stunned. Everyone looked at Lu Shengyue in disbelief. At this moment, they were completely dumbfounded. Even their minds were blank. They completely forgot how to think for a short period of time. Lu Shengyue easily solved 2 Akatsuki members. You should know that each member of Akatsuki is a Super S-level rebel ninja, but such a strong rebel ninja was killed by Lu Shengyue in one breath. Seeing such an outrageous thing, how should the people present think? Hiss. The whole audience took a breath of cold air. Everyone looked at the pit in shock. Looking at the dark and bottomless pit, they felt a sense of fear in their hearts. If it weren't for Lu Sheng's barrier just now, everyone present would be affected by the self-explosion, and there would be a tragic situation where no one would survive.
But Lu Sheng's teacher was in the barrier, and he was hit by the self-explosion, but he was still able to stand unscathed, and even his messy white long hair was not damaged.
Ah, this. Outrageous. Very outrageous. Let's stop watching the show. Three Tails is going crazy. Yagyu Yu ignored everyone's shocked gazes, patted the dust off his clothes, sipped the lollipop in his mouth, and looked at the sea surface in the distance that was gradually shaking. Shua, more than a dozen figures jumped out from the bottom of the sea, and everyone landed beside Yagyu Yu. Some of them wore the forehead protector of the Mist Village, and some wore the forehead protector of Konoha Village. It's the special team investigating Three Tails this time. You, where are the enemies? I heard that Akatsuki appeared. After Might Guy landed beside Yagyu Yu, he held the nunchaku in his hand and took a fighting posture. He looked around vigilantly, but all he could see was the torn ground and the deep pit that was difficult to see the bottom. Where are the enemies? I just heard Kakashi say that the Akatsuki organization was nearby, so Might Guy rushed from the bottom of the sea to the beach, but let alone the enemies. There was no trace of the enemies. The enemy has been solved. Hitaki Kakashi used a forehead protector to cover the Sharingan. He was just looking for an opportunity to attack. But he didn't expect that Yagyu would kill the enemy in 2 seconds. Solved? All the members of the reconnaissance team were stunned. They just rushed from the bottom of the sea to the shore to help Yagyu Yu resist the enemy to prevent the resurrected Three Tails from being captured by the enemy. But, solved? Solved? So fast, you are really worthy of it, you. Might Guy was stunned for a moment, and a light flashed through his white teeth. He hugged Yagyu Yu's shoulders and said, "This is youth. Don't touch me, you stinky man." Yagyu Yu moved Might Guy's hand away, looked at the trembling sea in the distance, and said, "The enemy doesn't matter. Three Tails. Don't interfere. I can solve it in 1 second, but it will become 3 or 4 seconds if you interfere." Everyone in the audience was embarrassed. Although they wanted to say something, they couldn't say anything because of Yagyu Yu's strength. Suddenly, boom boom, huge waves rose from the ground, and the waves formed a fierce tsunami, hitting the beach with a magnificent and frenzied momentum. Ong. The heavy and amazingly huge chakra covered the whole place, and then a huge turtle emerged from the seabed, with 3 tails containing amazing chakra behind it. 3 Tails. 3 Tails is resurrected. Everyone in the audience looked at 3 Tails in the distance, feeling the oppressive chakra, and everyone gradually showed a solemn expression. The chakra of 3 Tails was much more terrifying than that of 1 Tail at that time. A mist ninja in the investigation team shouted 4.7, "Quick, set up the barrier." Yagyu Tsuki put his hands in his pockets, used the blue Tensigen, and looked at the 3 Tails in the distance indifferently, raised a proud arc at the corner of his mouth, and said, "No need, just don't make trouble, I'll put a collar on that beast right now." It stands to reason that it is necessary to set up a barrier to capture the tailed beast to prevent the tailed beast from going berserk and causing casualties, but Yagyu Tsuki thinks it is unnecessary to set up a barrier. Is it necessary to go through so much trouble to solve a beast? Finish the fight as soon as possible and call it a day. After getting the mission reward, give the 3 Tails to Terumi Mei. While getting the mission reward, you can also brush up Terumi Mei's favorability. Perfect. Open black lens bracket 146 close black lens bracket planetary devastation, capture 3 Tails. Haruno Sakura took 2 steps back and fell to the ground. The chakra of 3 tails after its resurrection frightened her so much that her legs went weak. She looked at the huge 3 tails in the distance with a pale face and said with trembling lips, "Is it the 3 tails that Mr. Yagyu mentioned?" The 3 tails lying in the sea in the distance exuded an indescribable chakra. That chakra was the most terrifying chakra among all the enemies Haruno Sakura had seen so far. Haruno Sakura glanced at Uzumaki Naruto next to her. She could sense a breath similar to that of Uzumaki Naruto when he was rampaging in the chakra exuded by 3 tails, an evil, violent, and majestic chakra. Super idiot. Uchiha Sasuke used the 3-tomo Sharingan to stare at the mountain like 3 tails in the distance, and then looked at Uzumaki Naruto who was in a very painful state beside him. He could also sense from the chakra emitted by 3 tails that the same breath as Uzumaki Naruto's rampage in the Land of Waves was O3. He had never heard of the 9-tailed beasts, but he just felt that the chakra of 3 tails was almost exactly the same as the monster in Uzumaki Naruto's body, but it was weaker than the monster in Naruto's body. This feeling. Damn. You stinky fox, be quiet. Uzumaki Naruto knelt on the ground, holding his abdomen in severe pain. The piercing pain caused his expression to twist. It seemed that after sensing the breath of 3 tails' resurrection, blood-red chakra gradually appeared all over his body. Naruto? Haruno Sakura and Sasuke were shocked when they saw the state of Uzumaki Naruto. Is Naruto going to run away like he did in the Land of Waves? Haruno Sakura hurriedly shouted, "Teacher Yagyu, Naruto he." Ah, it's so troublesome. Jinchuriki is so troublesome, it's inexplicable. Yagyu glanced at Naruto who was kneeling on the ground in pain. At this time, Naruto's skin turned dark red, and his whole body was emitting liquid blood-colored chakra. Yagyu could see at a glance that 9 tails did not deliberately cause trouble, but there was a resonance between the tailed beasts, and the resurrection of 3 tails affected 9 tails chakra. 9 tails demon fox things have become troublesome. Hitaki Kakashi had a solemn expression, looking at the gradually rampaging Uzumaki Naruto, and a worry surged in his heart. All the Jōnin in the audience were in a heavy mood. They didn't expect that after the resurrection of 3 tails, Naruto would actually go berserk. Be quiet, I don't have time to play with you. Yagyu Tsuki walked in front of Uzumaki Naruto, raised his hand and slapped Naruto away. Pa! Uzumaki Naruto was slapped far away, and after rolling on the ground for several times, he fell asleep with his head tilted, and the blood-colored chakra covering his body gradually flowed into his abdomen. Everyone in the audience was speechless. It was clear that Uzumaki Naruto was about to go berserk, but Yagyu Tsuki stopped Naruto's berserk with a slap. Okay, I'm used to it. 5 seconds, I'll play with it for 5 seconds. Yagyu Tsuki stretched his muscles and looked at the 3 tails who were going crazy in the distance. After a moment, he disappeared from the spot and appeared in the sky directly above the 3 tails. Rebuke. Yagyu raised his finger, and a black substance emerged from his fingertips. The substance formed a heavy repulsive force, which hit 3 tails' hard shell. Boom boom. The repulsive force like a hammer dented 3 tails' whole body, and his huge body sank heavily into the seabed. Roar. 3 tails was furious, swimming from the bottom of the sea to the surface of the sea, with a purple energy ball condensed in his mouth. The energy ball exuded a destructive breath, causing everyone in the audience to change drastically. Tailed beast bomb. Tailed beast bomb. Even if I catch it head-on, it's meaningless. I'll just be captured alive. Yagyu clasped his hands together, and the dark substance floated into the sky. Planetary devastation. The dark matter sucked everything like a black hole, the mighty ocean current, the pale golden beach, the trees in the forest. Everything was sucked over, and the hill like 3 tails also floated towards the black ball. The myriad things were compressed to form a small moon, and 3 tails were trapped inside the small moon. 3 tails, the confinement was successful. Bang! The small moon loosened and fell off the soil, everything fell into the seabed again, and the hill like 3 tails turned into white smoke and disappeared. 3 tails was forced to contract by Yagyu and has become his exclusive summoning beast. Although it was contracted to become a summoning beast, it can still be given as a gift to Terumi Mei. The only difference is that Yagyu can summon 3 tails at any time. Of course. 3 tails is useless in Yagyu's eyes, so there is no need to treat them as summoning beasts. Once the appropriate Jinchuriki is selected from 463 Meimei, Yagyu will untie the contract with 3 tails. Terumi Mei will be a family member in the future, so it's okay to give 3 tails, not to mention that the Mist Village will belong to Yagyu in the future. Ding! The system said, complete the challenge mission and obtain the Flying Thunder God technique. Yagyu landed on the ground, patted the dust on his palm, looked at the audience and smiled lightly. It's over, call it a day, go home. You go back to the village to practice, I'll go to the Mist Village. Yagyu looked at Team 7 and gave an order, then used the instant body to disappear out of thin air. He wanted to give the tailed beast to Terumi Mei himself, and then pamper Terumi Mei for a night. Everyone was silent for a long time, and everyone had 10 thoughts in their minds. We have been busy for so many days, what are we busy with? We have set up many barriers, waiting for Three Tails to be resurrected and tied up Three Tails, and we have made all preparations to fight the enemy, but after Yagyu appeared, he killed the enemy in seconds, and then killed the resurrected Three Tails in seconds.
So, what do we do? 147. Does Mizukage-sama really have a boyfriend?
Mist Village, training ground. Terumi Mei wore the same blue short skirt as always, which wrapped around her tight figure, showing a graceful and seductive feeling. Her slightly curly brown hair swayed in the breeze. Her charming eyes looked at the young genin in front of her. We have gained a lot this year. The genin of this year are very talented. Terumi Mei glanced at the young genin present, and a beautiful smile rose slightly at the corner of her mouth. As a top-level ninja, she naturally has a very unique vision and can see that the young male and female genin present are all relatively talented children. Shojiro walked to Terumi Mei timidly, with a bandaged sword on his back. He pushed his glasses and shyly handed over a scroll. Mr. Mizukage, this is the information of the genins. Well, the beheading sword has been found, but Samahata should take some time. Anyway, I will select the new candidates for the 7 ninja swordsmen first. Terumi Mei nodded slightly and put the scroll into his inner pocket. He had taken the beheading sword back from Yagyu Tsuki before, but Yagyu Tsuki kept the Sagahata in a fish tank. But since he has taken the beheading sword back, he can first cultivate the new 7 ninja swordsmen. The 7 ninja swordsmen are one of the core fighting forces of the Mist Village. Terumi Mei said, Ow. Ow appeared instantly, knelt on one knee and said respectfully, Mizukage-sama. Terumi Mei asked, how is the situation with Three Tails?
No news yet, Ao answered truthfully. The investigation team of the Kurigakure and Konoha has been out for about a week, but has not received any news about Three Tails yet. Really? Terumi Mei frowned slightly and pondered for a moment.
Yagyu Tsuki said that Three Tails will be resurrected within a week, but the special investigation team has been out for a week and has not received any information about Three Tails yet. Did the investigation team encounter trouble when capturing Three Tails? For example, Akatsuki. It stands to reason that if there is no information for a week, they will first question Yagyu Tsuki's information, but Terumi Mei has never questioned Yagyu Tsuki once. Although Yagyu Tsuki is a gangster, he is a very reliable man. So Terumi Mei speculated that they must have encountered an enemy during the capture of Three Tails, and that enemy was most likely the Akatsuki organization that was planning to capture all the tailed beasts. But this time, with Yagyu Tsuki in charge of the capture of Three Tails, there should be no problem even if they encounter Akatsuki, right? Having said that, Terumi Mei felt worried. Although Yagyu Tsuki's strength was outrageous, every member of Akatsuki had a unique bloodline limit. Just as Terumi Mei was thinking, the young genins present carefully looked at Terumi Mei, and everyone began to chat in a low voice. Mizukage-sama. So beautiful, I will work hard to become a female ninja as good as Mizukage-sama in the future. Is Mizukage-sama very powerful? She doesn't look that powerful. Nonsense, watch your words. Mizukage-sama is the strongest female ninja of the contemporary era, and the hero who once saved the Mist Village by herself. The strongest female ninja of the contemporary era is Princess Tsunade, one of the legendary Sannin, right? You are so stupid. Tsunade-sama is a strong man in the last era, and Mizukage-sama is a strong man in this era. Really, it doesn't make any sense. Do you know the disaster ninja Yagyu Tsuki? I heard from my father that he is the strongest ninja of this era. Bullshit. Mizukage-sama is the strongest and the best ninja. What is there to argue about? Haven't you heard that Yagyu Tsuki and Mizukage-sama is a couple? They are all family. What's there to argue about? Hey. Mizukage-sama has a boyfriend? Really? Really? I heard those Jōnin are talking about it. The men and women who just became genin are all 8 trigrams. They are very curious about who is stronger between Terumi Mei and Yagyu Tsuki, and they are also concerned about the rumor that Terumi Yan and Yagyu Yang are having an affair. A pretty and young female ninja raised her hand and said cautiously, Mizukage-sama, can I ask a question? Terumi Mei put away her thoughts and smiled gently, saying, ask. Excuse me. That is. You and Yagyu. How can I become a great and excellent ninja like you? The girl's eyes showed embarrassment. After hesitating, she finally changed the subject in a panic. In fact, what she wanted to ask was whether the rumor that Terumi Mei and Yagyu Tsuki were a couple was true, but due to Terumi Mei's identity, she finally couldn't ask. Work hard to practice, complete the mission, cherish the friends around you, and take steady steps to become an excellent ninja. Terumi Mei looked at the girl strangely. Yagi? This young genin should want to ask something else, right? Yes. The pretty girl replied. The girl with the pink hairpin said in a low voice, oh, you're making me anxious, what the hell are you asking? Then go and ask. I don't dare to ask. What if Mizukage gets angry? The pretty girl pouted. The pink hairpin girl pouted and said, I feel that the rumor is false. Everyone knows that Yagyu Tsuki is a very childish ninja. How could Sutento fall in love with such a man? I feel the same. The pretty girl said, no, then you still let me ask? Suddenly, Shua, the light breeze blew the dust, and Lu Shungyue appeared in everyone's sight. He naturally hugged Terumi Mei's shoulders and said with a faint smile, hey, are you scolding a child? Terumi Mei's delicate body trembled slightly, and she was startled by the sudden appearance of Lu Shunyue. She glared at Lu Shunyue and said angrily, "Are you a ghost?" Although Terumi Mei was startled, she let Lu Shunyue hug her without any resistance. Ban Zhengdu decided to marry Lu Shunyue. Lulu belly is also normal, right? 148. Is he really my boyfriend? Release Three Tails? All the young genins in the audience looked at Terumi Mei being hugged by Yagyu Tsuki. Seeing that Terumi Mei did not show any resistance, everyone was slightly startled and wondered who this white-haired man was. Who is this white-haired man? How dare he hug Mizukage-sama? He has never seen a face before, and he is not wearing a forehead protector. He looks like someone from another village. Oh my god, Mizukage-sama did not resist, but let the white-haired man hug her. No matter how you look at it. It feels like there is an affair, but to be honest, the white-haired man is so handsome, he is my type, it would be perfect if he is also very strong. Long white hair, always wearing a loose black yukata, handsome face. Gives people a very arrogant feeling. Oh my god, this man is Yagyu Tsuki, right? Is he Yagyu Tsuki? Then the rumor should be true. Yagyu Tsuki and Terumi Mei are a couple, because Terumi Mei was placed in the Mei-sama didn't resist. The most beautiful, heroic, and outstanding female ninja, Mizukage-sama, actually has a boyfriend. After someone recognized Yagyu Tsuki, all the young genin in the audience gradually became confused. They had all heard the rumor that Terumi Mei had a boyfriend, but many people thought the rumor was false because Terumi Mei had never been in a relationship and was a strong woman who only cared about the development of the Mist Village. But now the facts are in front of us. Terumi Mei's rumored boyfriend Yagyu Tsuki is naturally hugging Terumi Mei's shoulders, and Terumi Mei has no intention of resisting. Instead, she took the initiative to lean towards Yagyu Tsuki. Many young genin present support Terumi Mei's relationship, because Terumi Mei's boyfriend is the strongest in the ninja world. In a ninja world where force is respected, Yagyu Tsuki has enough power to despise everything. But the question is, how did the two know each other? Many girls present wanted to aid trigrams, but because of his status, he couldn't ask more. How is the situation? Terumi Mei could faintly hear the whispers of the people present, and secretly sighed in his heart. These little brats are really 8 trigrams. Instead of being curious about other people's love affairs, they should work hard to practice and become independent ninjas. Yagyu Tsuki said, "What do you want to hear? The matter is quite complicated and it is difficult to explain it in a few words." Terumi Mei knew that Yagyu Tsuki was deliberately keeping it a secret, so she rolled her eyes at Yagyu Tsuki and said, "To make a long story short, you know what I want to ask." Yagyu Tsuki said, "I met 2 Akatsuki, one is the Rock Shinobi Village Rebel Deidara, and the other is the Sand Shinobi Village Rebel Scorpion." Sure enough, I encountered the Akatsuki organization. Terumi Mei frowned slightly, looked at Yagyu Tsuki worriedly, and saw that Yagyu Tsuki was in good condition and not injured, so she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. "It's okay, it's Shao, we've already caught 3 tails." Lu Shunyue saw Terumi Mei's worried look and thought in surprise. This crazy woman actually cares about others. Really? That's great. Cough cough. Terumi Mei was happy and a little excited. After the reaction, her charming face was slightly red. She coughed and said, "Where's 3 tails?" "Here." Lu Shunyue took out a scroll. "I will thank you on behalf of the Mist Village in the future." Terumi Mei grabbed the scroll. Lu Shunyue moved his hand, causing Terumi Mei to miss. He looked at Terumi Mei's charming face with a smile and said, "Later. I want it now. How are you going to thank me? You are so annoying. There are so many people here. Can you stop making trouble?" Terumi Mei accused, and after hesitating for a moment, she stood on tiptoe and kissed Li Xiao's lips gently. She blushed and whispered, "Let's talk about other things later." Wow! Everyone in the audience exclaimed when they saw this scene. They had never thought that Terumi Mei would dare to kiss Li Xiao in public. Although it was a kiss like a dragonfly, it was still a kiss. You know, Terumi Mei is a dignified Mizukage. The dignified and heroic Mizukage actually has a little girl side. Oh my god. You are so embarrassing, just consider it as a deposit. Yagyu Yu looked at Terumi Mei strangely. He knew that Terumi Mei was a very face-conscious person, but she dared to do that in public, which meant that the change in this woman's heart had exceeded expectations. She hadn't done any strategy yet, but her favorability was already full. Yagyu Yu looked at all the genin in the audience and said, "Disperse, disperse, don't ask me for medical expenses if you get hurt by mistake." Everyone in the audience was puzzled, but they still dispersed obediently, making a very spacious space. "Yagyu Yu, are you going to?" Terumi Mei saw Yagyu Yu open the scroll, and immediately understood what Yagyu Yu was going to do. He was actually planning to release the giant tail in the scroll in public. Because of the contract, you can't open the scroll. Anyway, you should keep it in captivity first, and find a suitable Jinchuriki to call me to unlock the contract. Yagyu Tsuki opened the scroll and threw it on the ground. By the way, there's no need to worry about 3 tails going berserk, it's now. Just watch it. After the scroll landed, a pale smoke covered the entire venue with a bang, and a mountain like 3 tails appeared out of thin air, with a chakra full of destructive power instantly suppressing the entire venue. Everyone in the audience trembled and looked at the terrifying 3 tails. But Three Tails did not go berserk as imagined, but lay on the ground honestly. Everyone was even shocked to see that Three Tails was actually rubbing his head gently against Yagyu Tsuki like a pet. Open black lens bracket 149 close black lens bracket Uchiha Obito's questioning. Look, it's just a beast. Yagyu Tsuki touched Three Tails' head, and Three Tails, who looked scary, lay there like a pet. Everyone around them stared with wide eyes, even though it was the first time for the genins present to see Three Tails. But they had heard about Three Tails from their families. It was a devastating monster with the power to destroy a ninja village. But even such a scary monster was as obedient as a pet in front of Yagyu Tsuki.
Oh my god, I'm glad you're okay. Quote. Terumi Mei secretly breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Three Tails didn't run away as expected.
Even though she was a strong cage-level ninja, she was frightened by Yagyu Tsuki's sudden release of Three Tails. Although she had the ability to deal with Three Tails, she had to know that there were many genin present, and these genin would be killed if they were affected by the main tail. Don't be so scared, life needs some surprises, right? Yagyu Tsuki hugged Terumi Mei's slender waist and slowly touched down along her waist, just when she was about to touch the drum of Terumi Mei. There is no better surprise like this. Terumi Mei hurriedly took 2 steps back to avoid being touched by Yagyu Tsuki in public. She glanced awkwardly at the whole audience and found that everyone's attention was attracted by Three Tails. No one noticed Yagyu Tsuki's little behavior, so she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Terumi Mei pinched Yagyu Tsuki's waist, her charming face flushed slightly, and she said delicately, "Don't touch me, there are so many people. Choose a brand new one as soon as possible Jinchuriki, this damn thing is still occupying my contract position." Yagyu Yu glanced at Three Tails with disdain. If you really want to find a summoning beast, you have to find one at the level of 10 tails. 3 tails, a low-end level, is meaningless. How dare you say that? Terumi Mei's eyes moved slightly. The tailed beast is the strongest weapon in the entire ninja world. If you catch 3 tails as a summoning beast, you will laugh to death in your dreams, but Yagyu uses this guy and doesn't dislike 1 tail? The pretty and tender female ninja walked in front of Yagyu Yu, nervously grabbed the collar, lowered her head and asked shyly, "Excuse me. Are you Yagyu Yu? The strongest ninja of the contemporary era?" Yagyu Yu glanced at the pretty and tender girl, chuckled lightly and said, "The strongest of the contemporary era? It fits very well. Yes, I am Yagyu Yu." The girl mustered up the courage to ask, "Can I ask a question?" The secret of becoming stronger. Talent determines the upper limit, but if you drink more milk and eat more papaya every day, you can become stronger, maybe. Lu Shengyue glanced at the girl's washboard. "Yang Sheng, what are you talking to a child about?" Terumi Mei glared at Lu Shengyue. "It is because you are a child that you need to work hard," Lu Shengyue said as a matter of course, "it will be too late to worry later." The pretty girl asked in a low voice, "Excuse me, how did you know Mizukage-sama?" She was very curious. How did you know each other? Lu Shengyue did not answer immediately, but glanced at Terumi Mei, and found that Terumi Mei's cold eyes seemed to warn him that if he dared to say it, he would be dead. How I met Terumi Mei is a bit difficult to talk about, because the first time I met Terumi Mei, I used it to start the year. Yagyu Tsuki raised a finger and said without blushing, "Terumi Mei has been secretly in love with me for a long time, and then she kept sticking to me to confess her love. In the end, I was exhausted and had to accept it." Terumi Mei avoided the girl and whispered in Yagyu Tsuki's ear, "Who is chasing you?" Yagyu Tsuki said, "Then I tell you the truth." "You dare." Terumi Mei was anxious and stared at Yagyu Tsuki with charming eyes. Although Yagyu Tsuki's fabricated things were outrageous, she would lose face if she told the truth. Hey, Master Mizukage is so proactive. The pretty girl looked at Terumi Mei in surprise, then bent down and bowed, "Thank you, brother Yagyu." After saying that, the pretty girl turned and ran to her friends, and then told them what she heard. After such a spread of the word, it is likely that the entire Mist Village will know that it was Terumi Mei who chased Yagyu Tsuki. 0. The time for children is over, and now it is the time for adults. Let's go and do business. Yagyu Tsuki picked up Terumi Mei. Terumi Mei was carried like a kitten, with her limbs hanging in the air. She blinked blankly and said, "Is it okay to leave Three Tails there?" Yagyu Tsuki instructed, "It's okay. Without my order, it can only lie there. By the way, there is no need to feed it, the tailed beast can solve the problem of food and clothing by absorbing chakra. It is obviously a tailed beast, but you make it sound like a pet." Terumi Mei struggled lightly and said shyly, "And let me go. I can walk by myself. Anyway, I am yours. Why are you in such a hurry? My teleportation is faster."
After saying that, Yagyu Tsuki carried Terumi Mei and disappeared, leaving behind the genins who were still watching Three Tails, and the confused Ching and Chojuro.
Chojuro and Ching were confused because Three Tails were right there. They were amazed at Yagyu Tsuki's methods, and they could easily capture Three Tails and even train Three Tails into a docile pet. Yagyu Tsuki took Terumi Mei to the room, and then the two started a fierce battle, Rain Shinobi Village. In the tower-shaped building, Uchiha Obito stared at Nagato through the mask with the scarlet Sharingan. His eyes narrowed slightly in emitting a dangerous light, and said hoarsely, "Three Tails were arrested, Deidara and Sasori both failed. Knowing that Yagyu Tsuki would go to catch Three Tails, why did you send Deidara and Sasori? Although the arrest of Three Tails would affect the plan, it would be enough to wait for Uchiha Madara to revive and then snatch the tailed beast from Yagyu Tsuki. Uzumaki Nagato deliberately sent Deidara and Sasori to catch Three Tails, which was obviously a suicide act. Golden reduced the current combat power of the Akatsuki organization.
Is it easy to appease a few cage-level members? Do you really think that cage-level strongmen are everywhere? 150 The fruit of the sacred tree, infinite reproduction.
In the room, Yagyu Tsuki lay with his hands behind his head, while Terumi Mei slept soundly while hugging him. The two had just experienced several fierce battles. Female ninjas. How should I put it, they're quite fierce. Yagyu Tsuki glanced at Terumi Mei, who was sleeping soundly, recalling the fierce battles they had just experienced. Female ninjas have strong physical strength and resilience, and the physical strength of cage-level female ninjas is even more outrageous.
To be honest, Terumi Mei is quite fierce. But if we talk about fierceness, Tsunade is still a little more fierce.
Ding. It's past 12 o'clock, start a new sign-in. Sign-in successful, get the seeds of the sacred tree. The system said, the seeds of the sacred tree will use the growth of Team 7 as nutrients. As Team 7 becomes stronger, the seeds will gradually germinate, and when they reach a certain level, they will produce chakra fruits. The sacred tree. After hearing about the new sign-in rewards, even Yagyu Tsuki was slightly startled. All the skills he signed in recently were rubbish, almost all of which were second-rate or below garbage skills, but he never expected that he could sign in to get such a treasure as the seeds of the sacred tree. After Kagaya took the fruit of the sacred tree, he directly upgraded and opened the 9 Magatama Sharingan, possessing power beyond the Sage of Six Paths, reaching the peak level of combat power of the Six Paths. Previously, the rewards were almost rubbish. The only ones that could be seen were the Infinite Space and Ryujin Jaka, which were super standard abilities. In the ninja world, the fruit of the sacred tree is a more super standard power. The most important thing is that the seeds of the sacred tree obtained by signing in are very convenient. There is no need to catch the 9-tailed beasts, nor is there any need to become 10 tails Jinchuriki. As long as you train Team 7 hard to become stronger, the seeds can absorb nutrients and gradually germinate and bear fruit. It is still a very convenient way to obtain it. After training Team 7 to become stronger, you can not only improve the sign-in level, but also obtain nutrients from the sacred tree. Yagyu Tsuki asked in his heart, what about the number of chakra fruits? Is there an upper limit? The system said, answer. There is no upper limit. As long as all members of Team 7 work hard to practice, the sacred tree will bear fruit one after another. The experience nutrients absorbed by the sacred tree will not affect the sign-in upgrade. The sacred tree can be planted into system space. No upper limit? Lu Shungyu's mouth slightly raised, and he thought of an interesting thing in his mind. After the mass production of the sacred tree fruit, it can be distributed to the harem group and the little ghosts in Team 7. After the little ghosts in Team 7 take the sacred tree fruit, they can directly upgrade madly on the spot, and then they will provide themselves with a lot of experience points. These experience points can make the sign-in level soar, and at the same time, the sacred tree can obtain more experience nutrients, so that more sacred tree fruits will be harvested. Infinite loop like a perpetual motion machine. Perfect. Lu Shungyue teased in his heart, although you always say that you broke the system before, the reward for signing in this time is very convenient, so I will reluctantly give you 2 points. The system said, thank you, master. Close black lens bracket. The system seemed to have guessed what Lu Shungyue was thinking, and whispered, please pay attention to safety. The fruit of the sacred tree is an abnormal thing. Each person can only eat one at most, and taking the second one will have the side effect of death. The members of Team 7 are forbidden to take the fruit of the sacred tree. After taking it, they will definitely die, because cheating is not allowed. Close black lens bracket. Lu Shungyu's mouth twitched, and after a short silence, he said in his heart, deduct 100 points, what a piece of junk. Just now, I was thinking about catching the bug, forming a perpetual motion cycle, feeding the 7th team's kids with fruits, and when the 7th team becomes stronger, I will get more fruits, and I can also quickly improve the sign-in level. But I never expected that the broken sacred tree obtained by signing in would have so many restrictions. It was specially designed to prevent Lousy from cheating, right? The system said, sorry. The system is one of the master's skills, so it has nothing to do with the system. It's the master's own skills that have some restrictions. Go play aside. Lu Shungyue was speechless, and he flipped his hand and took out a sacred tree seed like a magic trick. He looked at the sacred tree seed in his palm lightly. It looked like an ordinary walnut, but he could clearly feel a terrifying chakra from the inside, which contained all things in the world. Although there is no way to cheat, it can produce the sacred tree fruit infinitely. This sign-in reward is still very useful, and it can be a little exciting. As long as the tools of Team 7 work hard to practice, they can produce unlimited fruit of the sacred tree. This is exciting no matter how you think about it. Of course, each person can only eat one. Harshly squeeze the tools of Team 7, and then produce a large number of sacred fruit. Of course, they will eat the first fruit first, and feed the harem after they can produce the fruit in large quantities.
creating a harem of all 6 paths. It's a bit exciting to think about it.
The Otsutsuki clan dreams of having a sacred fruit, and they can produce it in unlimited quantities. This comparison can still give them a sense of superiority. Yagyu. What time is it? Terumi Mei sat up, her slightly curly brown hair falling to cover her delicate body. She yawned and rubbed her sleepy eyes, looking at Yagyu in a daze. Lu Shengyue said, 12 o'clock. Then I will continue to sleep. Terumi Mei hugged Lu Shengyue like an octopus, and then leaned her charming and delicate face on Lu Shengyue's chest, slowly closed her beautiful eyes, and prepared to sleep until dawn. You sleep, I still have things to do. Lu Shengyue put the seeds of the sacred tree into the system space, and just when he wanted to get up, he found that Terumi Mei was hugging him very hard. No, stay with me for a while. Terumi Mei rubbed her face against Lu Shengyue's chest, without the usual heroic attitude, but like a very clingy 4.8 kitten. If people knew this, they would be shocked. The majestic Mizukage would be so clingy. Too clingy will make people hate you. Lu Shengyue scratched his cheek. He was still thinking about going back to teach Team 7 hard, and then getting the fruit of the sacred tree as soon as possible. Whatever, it's early morning now. Although Team 7 is a tool, it also needs adequate rest. Overwork will have the opposite effect. This is what the so-called work-rest combination is all about. Why do you lie like this? If you really hate it, would it still be so excited? Terumi Mei touched Lu Shengyue, raised a charming arc at the corner of her mouth, and said with a smile, but men who are tough are also quite cute. You are really good at judging people. Lu Shengyue picked up Terumi Mei. A new round of fierce battle began. 151. A brand new practice, the sacred tree has sprouted. A week has passed since the capture of 3 tails. The mysterious Akatsuki organization has also surfaced. All countries have begun to conduct a large-scale search for Akatsuki, but still no trace of Akatsuki has been found. Yagyu Tsuki knew that Akatsuki was in Rain Shinobi village, but he did not tell anything about Akatsuki, because Akatsuki might be used later, so he did not plan to completely eliminate Akatsuki for the time being. Keep it as a tool enemy, just in case it can be used somewhere. The sun is scorching and the sky is clear, the 7th training ground. The germination speed is much faster than expected. Yagyu Tsuki lay lazily on the sofa, watching the saplings in the system space. After 7 days of devilish practice by Team 7, the sacred tree has begun to sprout gradually. In just 7 days, Sasuke has completely mastered Chidori, and Naruto can also cut leaves with O3 wind attribute chakra, and Haruno Sakura can now catch flowing liquids. Everything is moving in a good direction. The only annoying thing is that all the sign-in rewards for these 7 days are rubbish, and there is almost no reward that can be put on the table. But at least I got a lot of sign-in indexes. The current sign-in index is 3 points of gold, and it has undergone a small-scale upgrade. After the sign-in is advanced to gold, each point requires a lot of experience points. Even if Uchiha Sasuke has completely mastered Chidori, he only gets 2 points of growth. Alas, immortality is far away. Yagyu took out a lollipop, unwrapped it and put it in his mouth and sipped it lightly. There was nothing particularly pleasant recently. He was training Team 7 hard all day, and then took time to use Flying Thunder God technique to teleport to the Mist Village to sleep Terumi Mei. Every week, he took turns to pamper the harem, but recently Yuhi Kurenai and Hinata went out of the village to do tasks, saying that they were preparing for the new Chunin exam. Of course. Tsunade's harem has not discovered Hinata's affairs, and Hinata has not discovered Yagyu and Tsunade and others' affairs. Uchiha Sasuke put his hands in his pockets, pretending to be very cold, walked to Yagyu Tsuki's side, and said, Teacher Yagyu, let's start the next stage. He has been working very hard recently, practicing harder than before, because he has been completely defeated by Itachi, and has also seen the strength of the Akatsuki organization. Whether it is Deidara, or Scorpion of the Red Sand, or Hoshigaki Kisame who he encountered before, these people are all real cage-level strongmen. There are people beyond people, and there are heavens beyond heaven. He found that he was still a long way from being a real strongman, and all the enemies he had encountered before were much weaker than Uchiha Itachi, so in order to fulfill his ambition of revenge, he vowed to practice harder.
Until he can completely kill Uchiha Itachi. Start the next stage of training so soon. In the distance, Haruno Sakura and Uzumaki Naruto looked at Sasuke's back after hearing Sasuke's words. Yesterday, Sasuke just completely mastered Chidori, and today he is going to start a new training.
Sasuke seemed very anxious. As expected of Sasuke, I have to work harder too. Uzumaki Naruto tightened his forehead protector, looked at the chakra in his palm like a small whirlwind, and raised a slight arc at the corner of his mouth. It's a good thing to want to become stronger, but being too anxious will have the opposite effect, right?
Haruno Sakura stuck out her tongue. She believed that steady progress was a good thing, and being too anxious would be counterproductive, although she said that being too anxious would be counterproductive. But she has been practicing with Yagyu Tsuki during the day, and secretly went to Tsunade at night to ask for some medical knowledge and how to use the power of the 100 healings. She has been working harder than Sasuke and Naruto recently, because she gradually discovered that Naruto and Sasuke are very talented, especially Uzumaki Naruto,
who used to be the last one, and can always grasp some tricks in a peculiar way. Stinky brat, don't think about pretending all day long. If you have pretended everything, what should I pretend to be? Yagyu Tsuki raised his eyelids and glanced at him lightly. Uchiha Sasuke.
Well, no boss would hate free employees. Teachers like hardworking students very much. Yagyu Tsuki sat up, looked at Naruto and Sakura in the distance, clapped his hands and shouted, "Gather within 3 seconds." It's a good thing that Team 7 is working hard, because it can not only speed up the acquisition of points, but also quickly improve the development of the sacred tree.
The boss likes free and hardworking employees the most.
Soon, within 3 seconds, all members of Team 7 stood in front of Yagyu Tsuki in an orderly manner. 880 Whirlpool Naruto held the back of his head and pouted, "What? Don't interfere with my practice." "Excuse me, Teacher Yagyu, do we also have to participate in the new practice?" Haruno Sakura looked at Yagyu Tsuki curiously. The reason why Teacher Yagyu called for assembly should be that he planned to let Team 7 participate in the new practice together. But the problem is, Sasuke practices the thunder attribute, Naruto practices the wind attribute, and I practice the yang attribute. How can 3 people practice in 3 different ways?
Although the practice of each attribute is slightly different, the core is all about the control of chakra. Yagyu slowly stood up, kicked the sofa away casually, and then slapped his hands to the ground. Earth-style earth cutting. Boom boom. The ground shook violently, and 2 huge earth walls rose from the ground, forming a canyon as big as a mountain. Water-style big waterfall. Yagyu jumped onto the earth wall, clasped his hands together, and spit out a huge wave from his mouth. The huge wave fell between the 2 earth walls, and the 3 formed a super large waterfall. Open black lens bracket 152 close black lens bracket nature transformation and morphological changes. Waterfall. Everyone in class 7 looked at the giant waterfall in front of them, and everyone had a hint of doubt in their eyes. Why did Mr. Yagyu create a waterfall? Haruno Sakura raised his little face, staring at the natural wonder-like scenery, muttering to himself, "Wow. So amazing, Mr. Yagyu can actually create such a big waterfall out of thin air in a place without water." Mr. Yagyu's water style, which he used without any seals, is probably comparable to that of Hoshigaki Kisame at that time. Uchiha Sasuke looked puzzled, looking at the magnificent waterfall, and asked, "Mr. Yagyu, what does this mean? Waterfall? Is the new practice related to waterfalls?" Yagyu looked at Uzumaki Naruto and asked, "Question, what is the core of wind style?" The core of wind style. Uzumaki Naruto touched his chin, his fox-like face wrinkled together, and after thinking for a moment, he suddenly realized and said, "It's wind." "Wrong, it's cutting." Yagyu immediately rejected it, picked up Uzumaki Naruto and threw him back. Oh. Yagyu Tsuki took out the lollipop in his mouth, pointed it at Uchiha Sasuke, and asked, "Since wind style is cutting, what is lightning style? Answer me within 5 seconds." Lightning style. Uchiha Sasuke was slightly startled, and glanced at Uzumaki Naruto who was hit by the waterfall. A sense of danger surged in his heart. If he answered incorrectly, he would be thrown in, right? The waterfall is nothing, but it is embarrassing to be thrown in. Uzumaki Naruto climbed out of the lake at the lower end of the waterfall, dripping with water like a drowned chicken, pointing at Uchiha Sasuke, gloating, "Ha ha ha ha, Sasuke, how could you know, just be thrown in honestly." Uchiha Sasuke glanced at Uzumaki Naruto coldly, secretly cursed him as a super idiot in his heart, then raised the corner of his mouth slightly, looked at Yagyu Tsuki with a little pride, and said, "Lightning style is speed." Correct answer. Yagyu Tsuki picked up Uchiha Sasuke and put Sasuke casually threw himself backwards, and after being thrown, he fell into the lake, being whipped by the rolling waterfall. But to be precise, it's speed, sharpness, and penetration. The combination of the 3 is lightning style. Any one less is a third-rate move. The Chidori you just learned only has speed, and needs to run to form penetration, but no matter how fast you run, it is not sharp. Lu Shungyue turned and walked to the lake, looking down at Sasuke floating in the lake, and said, "In other words, your current lightning style is still embarrassing." Uchiha Sasuke frowned slightly, thinking seriously about what Lu Shungyue said, and asked in confusion, "Excuse me, Mr. Lu Sheng, what should I do?" Change form. Use the change form and inject nature transformation at the same time, so that the current you condense can be transformed into lightning, which is the advanced version of Chidori, Reikari. Shungyue raised his hand, and blue lightning emerged from his palm, and then the lightning turned into a sharp long sword. He gently waved the lightning long sword, and the long sword cut a crack on the ground. Look, this is the real lightning style, with speed, sharpness, and penetration. By the way, if you can apply the properties and forms to ultimate, you can freely change the appearance of electricity. Yagyu Tsuki's palm trembled slightly, and the sharp lightning long sword fell to the ground as if melting, and the lightning that fell to the ground turned into 2 giant tigers. Very convenient, right? Uchiha Sasuke nodded slightly. To be honest, he didn't understand anything. He just knew that after combining the form and properties, the power of the lightning style used could be further improved. What about me? What about wind style? Uzumaki Naruto pointed at himself, looking at Yagyu Tsuki with expectation. glancing at the two tigers formed by pale blue lightning, with envy in his eyes. So cool, lightning style is so cool, Feng. What about wind style? Wind style should be this cool too, right? Yagyu Tsuki untied lightning style, and the thunder tigers on both sides of him disappeared. He touched his chin and said thoughtfully, wind style. Wind style is wind style, although you can compress chakra to make wind style change its appearance into a sharp blade, but it's completely meaningless. The change of the shape of wind attribute chakra is the most commonly used method of danzo, but it is also one of the stupidest behaviors. He turned the wind into a hand-to-hand fight. Uzumaki Naruto sat cross-legged on the ground, pouted his lips in dissatisfaction and said, "What? You said before that wind style is the most powerful attribute, and now you start saying that wind style is meaningless. What a troublesome little brat." Yagyu Tsuki scratched his white fur in annoyance and said, "The form change of wind style is meaningless, but if you inject nature transformation into the form change.
Anyway, I will show you once, just this time, and I will charge you next time. I have performed lightning style Rasengan before, right? Lightning style Rasengan injects the nature transformation of thunder attribute into Rasengan, so what if you inject wind attribute? Open your eyes and don't blink. Quote. Opening square bracket. 153, wind style, Rasenshuriken.
First, this is the Rasengan. Yagyu Tsuki raised his hand, and light blue chakra flowed out of his palm. The chakra was compressed into a circle and spun rapidly. Wind attribute Rasengan. Everyone in Team 7 looked at the Rasengan in Yagyu Tsuki's palm with confusion. They had only seen the Rasengan of thunder attribute before. The lightning style Rasengan used by Yagyu Tsuki that time was still fresh in their memory. Previously, Yagyu Tsuki used the lightning style Rasengan, and this one strike blasted several rocks into ashes. After the Rasengan landed, it could form a lightning field, causing a second round of destructive lightning damage. The thunder attribute Rasengan is so strong, so what about the wind attribute Rasengan? Then, this is the wind style, Rasenshuriken. Yagyu Tsuki's palm trembled slightly, and injected the wind attribute nature transformation into the Rasengan. The round Rasengan gradually changed and became a shuriken-like shape, Ong. The spiral shuriken spun at high speed, and because of the high speed of friction with the air, a 313 piercing sound was heard, which hurt the eardrums of everyone in Team 7. Hiss, it hurts. Haruno Sakura took a breath, stepped back and fell to the ground, covering his ears and staring at the spiral shuriken spinning at super Mach speed in the palm of Yagyu Yu. Haruno Sakura felt the fierce wind and felt stinging all over his body. He muttered to himself, what a terrible chakra. This move is very dangerous. Uchiha Sasuke looked solemn, staring at the spiral shuriken in the palm of Yagyu Yu with the scarlet 3-tomo Sharingan. Through the keen insight of Sharingan, he could vaguely see that there were countless tiny chakra needles inside the Rasengan. Uchiha Sasuke thought secretly in his heart. The lightning-style Rasengan used by Yagyu teacher last time, although it also had destructive power, was actually more inclined to control-type ninjutsu. ADCE, and the wind-style spiral shuriken used by Yagyu teacher this time seemed to be the ultimate offensive means. It doesn't look as powerful as the lightning style, it's just that the Rasengan has changed its appearance. Uzumaki Naruto's fox face was full of doubts, staring at the spiral shuriken like a little fox. The lightning-style Rasengan I saw last time had very exaggerated lightning coiled inside, but the wind-style Rasengan I saw this time, except for the harsh sound, everything else looks very ordinary. Uchiha Sasuke said coldly, super idiot, if you have the same eyes as me, you can see how terrible the move used by Mr. Yagyu is. I can testify that the wind-style series of Rasengan is the most powerful Rasengan among all attribute Rasengans. Yagyu Tsuki can indeed testify, because he has tested all Rasengan before, and finally found that only the wind attribute Rasengan is the most powerful among all Rasengan. Of course special attribute Rasengan is excluded. Wind-style Rasengan can also cause secondary attacks. Uchiha kid, you should have seen the chakra needle in the Rasengan, right? It can destroy the enemy's neurons from the inside, turning the enemy into a vegetable. Before Lu Shunyue finished speaking, he saw the faces of the 7th team full of confusion. He secretly sighed in his heart. These stinky kids seem to only have the most intuitive power in their eyes. Destroy neurons. Haruno Sakura's pupils shrank. She has been studying medical knowledge hard recently, so she naturally knows what destroying neurons means. If the neurons are destroyed, no matter how strong a person is, he will become a living dead. Well, let's watch. Lu Shunyue turned and looked at the mountains in the distance, and then threw the wind-style spiral shuriken over. Ong. The spiral shuriken flew out, leaving sonic booms wherever it passed, and hit the mountains in an instant at a very fast speed. Boom boom. The light blue wind barrier covered the mountain, and the whole mountain was reduced to ashes in an instant. In fact, it was cut into countless tiny pieces of dust, which slowly fell to the ground like a sandstorm. In theory, the wind-style Rasengan is not so powerful, but Yagyu Tsuki's chakra is extremely large, and the chakra also has the power of 6 paths, which makes any attack have destructive power. So strong. All members of Team 7 were shocked, staring at the distance in a daze, the disaster wasteland that had turned into a sandstorm, There was a huge mountain there just now, but the whole mountain disappeared in an instant. The several rocks destroyed by the lightning-style Rasengan before, even if they were stacked together, would not be as big as the mountain destroyed by the wind-style Rasengan just now. This shows that wind-style Rasengan is indeed more terrifying than Shoji's lightning-style Rasengan. Uzumaki Naruto changed his face on the spot, hugged Yagyu Tsuki's legs directly, and shouted excitedly, "Teacher Yagyu, teach me, can you teach me such a powerful move? I also want to learn that wind-style Yiro Shuriken." "Idiot, it's wind-style Rasengan." Uchiha Sasuke was speechless. "Stinky brat." Yagyu Tsuki's eyes twitched slightly. Just now Naruto despised the ordinary Rasengan, but after seeing the intuitive power of the Rasengan, he actually changed his face on the spot. He changed his face faster than turning a page of a book. Yagyu Tsuki raised his leg to shake off Uzumaki Naruto, and said lightly, "Get out of the way, you are currently learning this move, right? When you can completely master nature transformation, you will be able to use the Rasengan naturally." Open black lens bracket 154 close black lens bracket Haruno Sakura's training. Hey. Uzumaki Naruto wanted to vent his anger after being kicked away, but when he heard Yagyu Tsuki say that he was currently learning wind-style shuriken, he immediately sat up, and his eyes gradually showed excitement. He thought it was just an ordinary nature transformation at first, but he never expected that he would learn such a powerful move. "Then let's start practicing, Teacher Yagyu. What are we going to do with the waterfall?" Uzumaki Naruto was very excited and wanted to master the wind-style spiral shuriken as soon as possible. As long as he could master this move thoroughly, he should be able to surpass Sasuke. What should I say, anyway, just watch. Yagyu Tsuki jumped in front of the waterfall, slowly raised a finger, and light blue chakra emerged from the fingertips. Everyone in Team 7 looked at him with confusion, and no one understood what he was going to do. Lu Shunyue condensed the finger of chakra and flicked it lightly at the rolling waterfall. Suddenly, the whole waterfall was split into two. Chakra formed an airflow to blow the waterfall to the sky. The waterfall rolled and stirred in the sky like a river. 3 seconds later, the rolling river fell into the canyon and formed a rolling and magnificent waterfall again. Wow! So amazing, you can actually cut the waterfall with chakra. Everyone in the 7th team was dumbfounded. They have been practicing chakra recently, so they naturally know very well how difficult it is to cut the waterfall with chakra. What you have to do is to use chakra to cut the waterfall. Whether it is wind attribute or thunder attribute, both chakras have a certain degree of cutting ability. It's very simple and clear practice. Lu Shunyue said, "Practice hard, there are stronger moves waiting for you later. Cut the waterfall." "How can I do it?" Uzumaki Naruto frowned. He had a hard time cutting leaves with the wind attribute nature transformation, let alone cutting such a big waterfall. "If you can't do it, then just watch it honestly, you're the last one." Uchiha Sasuke sneered, then jumped up and landed in front of the waterfall, with both hands pressed against the waterfall, and a light blue current condensed in his palms, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't cut the waterfall. "Tisk. What are you bragging about? You can't do it either," Uzumaki Naruto pouted, then also jumped towards the waterfall and began to concentrate on feeling the wind attribute chakra. Yagyu Tsuki took out a lollipop, unwrapped it, put it in his mouth and sipped it, looking at the backs of Naruto and Sasuke lightly, and encouraged, "Come on, with your ability, you can probably finish it in about a week, right?" Sasuke has mastered nature transformation, but to be precise, he can only use Chidori, and cannot use the real nature transformation, because the real nature transformation is the advanced version of Chidori, S-level lightning style, Reikiri. Haruno Sakura glanced at Naruto and Sasuke, and then looked at Yagyu Tsuki who was watching the show. She found that she was the only one who had nothing to do, so she pointed her finger at her face and asked blankly. "Yagyu teacher, what about me? What should I do?" Sorry, I almost forgot about you." Yagyu Tsuki turned around and looked at Haruno Sakura, looking at him carefully from head to toe. "Haruno Sakura, you fight me. Use the 100 healings to fight me. After all, practice is much faster than theory." Yagyu Tsuki suggested with a faint smile. He knew that Haruno Sakura had already learned the power of the 100 healings and had touched the threshold of the Yang attribute change. The rest was to stabilize the foundation and practice. Over time, he would be able to completely master the 5th of the 100 healings of the Warring States. "But, how can I beat Yagyu?" Haruno Sakura said speechlessly. How could she improve by fighting with Yagyu teacher? Because she was completely bullied unilaterally, and she didn't even have the chance to fight. How could she become stronger through fighting? 0. Seeking flowers, it's okay, you can attack as you like. I will only use one finger and use all the experience you have accumulated so far to attack. Yagyu raised a finger, and the corner of his mouth slightly raised an arc, giving people a feeling of indifferent, frivolous and superior. What Haruno Sakura needs most now is actual combat, and all the knowledge and abilities he has mastered in the past can be applied to actual combat to further grow. After Haruno Sakura fully controls the 100 healings, he can teach this little girl light and heavy rock and heavy rock. Light and heavy rock are very suitable for matching with strange strength. Okay, then please give me more advice. Haruno Sakura bowed slightly, took a long breath to adjust her mentality, and then clasped her hands together to form a seal. 100 Healings Mark. Release. On. The prismatic mark between Haruno Sakura's eyebrows glowed, and several strange patterns emerged from the mark. At this time, she burst out with a strong chakra, which was close to the Jōnin level. Before Haruno Sakura attacked, she had already burst out with the strongest power. Although fighting with an acquaintance would be a bit restrained, you have to know that the opponent is Yagyu Sensei, who is currently the strongest ninja in the world, so there is no need to worry about hurting the opponent with all your strength. Yagyu Sensei, you have to be careful. Haruno Sakura gritted her teeth, bent her white legs slightly, and then suddenly jumped up, flying out like a cannonball, raising her legs and hitting Yagyu's head heavily. The speed is too slow, the attack is monotonous, and there are flaws after jumping into the sky. Yagyu Tsuki didn't move, and looked at Haruno Sakura, who was approaching infinitely, and then put a finger on Haruno Sakura's heel. Open black lens bracket 155 close black lens bracket lightning style armor, water style armor. It's not over yet, be careful not to bite your tongue if you brag. Haruno Sakura concentrated all his chakra on his fist and punched at Yagyu Tsuki's abdomen. The seemingly weak and white fist contained a strong force. Go to hell. Full force. Yagyu Tsuki did not move, and did not even defend. He looked at the infinitely approaching fist indifferently, and then let Haruno Sakura's fist hit his abdomen. Boom boom. The violent blow caused the ground to shake violently, and a small pit appeared on the ground with Yagyu Tsuki as the core. The scattered chakra alone could shake the ground, which shows how terrible Haruno Sakura's punch was. Yagyu. Sanju-san. Yu put his hands in his pockets and did not move. He glanced at the fist in front of his abdomen and said, although the speed is very slow, the power is still considerable. At your age, you are also an excellent ninja. If you insist, many Jōnin can't resist your attack head-on. What's the matter? Why? Haruno Sakura maintained his attacking posture. No matter how hard he tried, his fist could not touch Yagyu Yu. It was as if there were 12 invisible walls in front of Yagyu Yu's abdomen. Is this chakra? Haruno Sakura looked at Yagyu Yu's abdomen and saw a piece of light blue chakra in front of Yagyu Yu's abdomen. The chakra stopped in front of him like armor, which was exactly the same as Susanoo he had seen before. Correct. Yagyu Yu grabbed Haruno Sakura's wrist, pressed Haruno Sakura to the ground with a grab, and then slapped Haruno Sakura's butt hard. You. Haruno Sakura's fair face flushed, his eyes revealed shame and anger, feeling the strange pain from the drum all over his body. A feeling of grievance and anger surged in his heart. Yagyu Tsuki sat on Haruno Sakura's waist, sipping the candy in his mouth and explained, chakra has many uses, and can also be used for defense and attack. You should remember the Susanoo used by the Uchiha beast, right? Susanoo is the physical object of chakra and pupil power combined, but even without Sharingan, he can release chakra. In the previous Chunin selection exam, Hyuga Neji used Revolving Heaven, which was an external chakra. Yagyu Tsuki pinched Haruno Sakura's drum, feeling the elastic touch of his fingertips and secretly sighed in his heart. Things have changed, and the soft buttocks have become more curved. When the 7th team was just formed, Haruno Sakura was still weak, but now this brat is already strong and feels much better than before. It's really getting stronger, Yagyu Yu sighed.
What aspect are you referring to, pervert teacher? Haruno Sakura was speechless. He was praising someone for being strong, but what other aspect was it?
External chakra can defend, so what about the external nature transformation chakra? Yagyu Yu let go of Haruno Sakura, and light blue chakra emerged from his body. After a moment, the chakra turned into pale blue lightning. The amazing lightning coiled around his body, forming a pale blue lightning armor. Yagyu Yu said, this is the Raikage's most commonly used skill, lightning style armor. Of course, your chakra attributes are water and earth. Although you can use ordinary lightning style, you can't use advanced lightning style. Lightning style armor. Haruno Sakura got up, rubbed her wrist, and looked at Yagyu Tsuki with doubts. The lightning was all over her body. As she looked at it, she was surprised. It was the first time she saw the lightning style armor. The revolving heaven used by Neji before was already amazing, but she didn't expect that there was a higher level of chakra release. Since I can't use the lightning style armor, you still said you would teach me. Could it be that? 0. Haruno Sakura complained with a pout, and she thought of something before she finished speaking. Could it be that all the attributes of nature transformation can form a lightning style armor like outer garment? Yes, that's it. Could it be that you are smarter than Naruto, the idiot? Yagyu Tsuki said, you should remember the demon fox outer garment that Naruto used last time? His was the chakra release of 9 tails. Of course, to attack and defend with chakra release, you need to have a certain amount of chakra. Even Hoshigaki Kisame can't do this. At present, only I and the 9-tailed beasts can use chakra to attack and defend, but the nature transformation of chakra is another matter. Yagyu Yu said, all attributes can be nature transformed. That is, all attributes can be released. As soon as the voice fell, the lightning covering Yagyu Yu's body disappeared, turning into a light blue coat like water. Try to attack with all your strength. Yagyu Yu hooked his finger. Okay. Haruno Sakura punched Yagyu Yu fiercely, and when his fist touched Yagyu Yu's water-style armor, it was like hitting cotton and was weak. How amazing. Haruno Sakura retracted his fist and touched Yagyu-Yu's water-style armor with curiosity on his face. It was like touching the surface of water. This water-style armor is simply the nemesis of physical attacks and can dissolve a certain degree of physical attacks. Lu Shengyue said, it's difficult to release a large amount of chakra, and it's even more difficult to release nature transformation. It's extremely difficult to maintain both at the same time, but it shouldn't be that difficult with your talent. Anyway, after you stabilize the power of 100 wisdoms, try to learn chakra armor. Since you can control the power of 100 wisdoms, you can definitely control a piece of chakra armor. Open black lens bracket 156 close black lens bracket. Can Jōnin become the captain if he succeeds in the exam? Right, the amount of chakra is important, but the reasonable use of chakra is more important. Yagyu Tsuki put away the chakra and glanced at the waterfall in the distance. At this time, Uzumaki Naruto and Sasuke were secretly watching the situation here. The two seemed to care about the chakra armor very much. Although the chakra code is very useful, Uzumaki Naruto and Sasuke both have cheats. Naruto will practice towards the perfect Jinchuriki later, and Sasuke will practice towards the Sharingan. Learning the chakra code specifically will waste time. But Haruno Sakura has no cheats, and the amount of chakra is also small, so he needs some unorthodox methods to improve his strength. Yagyu Tsuki retracted his gaze, secretly looked at Haruno Sakura, and sighed silently in his heart. To be honest, the smartest person in the 7th team is Haruno Sakura, but the most difficult to teach is also Haruno Sakura. Haruno Sakura has no so-called cheats. If you want to become stronger, you need to improve steadily. Teacher Yagyu, the way I've been learning to catch liquids is the water-style armor you just used, right? Haruno Sakura pinched her chin, recalling the water-style armor Yagyu Tsuki just used. The feeling was exactly the same as the way she had been practicing to catch liquids recently. You are quite smart. Although you have recently learned medical skills, it is no different from the release of water attribute chakra. Lu Shengyue touched Haruno Sakura's little head and said with a faint smile, grasp the feeling and become stronger in one go. Next month, a new Chunin selection exam will be held. At that time, all ninja villages will send people here to participate. The new Chunin selection exam has been decided, and the date is set for this day next month. In the past, Konoha and San Shinobi held it together, but recently many ninja villages sent letters saying that they would send people to participate in this Chunin selection exam. According to Lu Shengyu's speculation, it should be that after the major ninja villages learned that Konoha and Mist Village had formed an alliance, those old guys were restless and wanted to take this opportunity to get closer. Next month? So soon. Haruno Sakura was startled, and a feeling of worry surged in her heart. She had seen Rock Lee's strength before, and she had also seen Hyuga Neji's strength. Even Hyuga Hinata was very strong. She didn't have the confidence to compete with these people on the same stage. Chunin exam. In the distance, Uchiha Sasuke's ears moved slightly. He could faintly hear the conversation between Yagyu Tsuki and Haruno Sakura. A new Chunin exam will start next month. Huh, Uchiha Sasuke sneered. Since he failed to defeat everyone last time and prove his strength to Mr.
Yagyu, he must defeat all the genin in this Chunin exam.
Uchiha Sasuke recalled the terrifying power of Rock Lee at that time, and the power of Hyuga Neji he saw a few times before. No matter who it is, he must win. If he can't win the Chunin exam, how can he have the face to say that he has the power of revenge? He must win. The name of the Uchiha clan is at stake. Chunin exam? Very good. I must pass the exam this time and let everyone look at me with new eyes. Uzumaki Naruto smiled passionately. He was looking forward to performing in front of many people because he always wanted to be recognized by others. At this time, on the other side, by then, you three little brats may also become enemies. There is no need for me to say more. You should also know it well, right? Whoever loses will be embarrassed. While speaking, Yagyu Tsuki glanced at Naruto and Sasuke who were eavesdropping from a distance. He knew that Naruto wanted to win back his last defeat, so he deliberately asked Tsunade to change the exam into an individual battle. The purpose is to inspire Naruto's fighting spirit, so that he can practice hard before the exam, and then Sasuke will worry about being surpassed by Naruto, and will also practice day and night. The two will form a state of mutual encouragement. Do people in a team have to fight? Haruno Sakura was slightly stunned. Yagyu Tsuki nodded slightly. Yes, the first round is still answering questions, but from the second round onwards it will become an individual battle. There is no love on the battlefield, and the same is true for exams. That means, it is very likely that we will become enemies with Naruto and Sasuke. 6:30. Haruno Sakura bit her lip and looked at Naruto and Sasuke who seemed to be concentrating on practicing in the distance, but were actually eavesdropping on their conversation. She knew that Sasuke was very strong, and she also knew that Naruto was very strong, so, she was not very confident. Yagyu Tsuki raised a finger and said in a rather frivolous manner, I will appoint those who pass the final exam as the captains of Team 7. When I am not here, the captains will be responsible for commanding Team 7. Captain? Everyone in Team 7's eyes lit up. When Teacher Yagyu is not here, they can command Team 7 at will. It feels great just to imagine it. Command Sasuke. Uzumaki Naruto's smile became thicker and thicker, imagining the scene of commanding Sasuke in his head. If he could command the arrogant Sasuke at will, it would be a great thing. Idiot. Uchiha Sasuke frowned slightly, looked at Naruto's smirking state, and a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. Being commanded by Naruto at will. This is more painful than death. Open black lens bracket 157 close black lens bracket news of Jiraiya's death. Anyway, work hard. The teacher has something to do recently. Yagyu Tsuki raised his hand and was about to use the teleportation to leave when he suddenly remembered something. He looked at Naruto and Sasuke and said with a slightly higher voice, I almost forgot that Gaara from Sand Shinobi Village will also take part in this Chunin exam. Gaara did die after losing the tailed beast, but he was resurrected after returning to the village because he had the potential to become a Kage, and Sand Shinobi Village needed young fighters of Gaara's level. Although Gaara has been designated as the Kage, Yagyu Tsuki had previously issued an order to Sand Shinobi Village that the Kage can wait until later, and Gaara must participate in the Chunin exam next month. Because Yagyu Tsuki plans to use Gaara to strengthen the group of brats in Team 7. Gaara. Hearing this, all members of Team 7 were stunned. They did see Gaara die before, but teacher Yagyu actually said that I, who was already dead, would take the Chunin exam. Uzumaki Naruto asked in a daze, Gaara takes the Chunin exam? But isn't Gaara already? Haruno Sakura asked in confusion, will Jinchuriki die after losing the tailed beast? She heard from Yagyu Tsuki that Jinchuriki would definitely die after losing the tailed beast. Did Gaara come back to life? It's troublesome to explain, anyway, he's still alive, see you another day. After saying that, Yagyu Tsuki disappeared in an instant and went to the Hokage's office where Tsunade was. Is Gaara still alive? Uzumaki Naruto was excited. He thought Gaara had the same experience as him and was a very admirable opponent. Gaara? Uchiha Sasuke raised his mouth slightly. Since there was no chance to defeat Gaara last time, there should be a chance this time, right? Gaara is very strong. As long as he can defeat Gaara, he can prove the power of Uchiha to everyone. Very good, this Chunin exam should be interesting, whether it's Gaara or the enemy of Team 7. Uchiha Sasuke's eyes narrowed, and his eyes turned into Scarlet 3 Tomo Sharingan. While practicing the waterfall cutting exercise, he was thinking secretly in his heart. Next month's Chunin exam is indeed worth looking forward to, because everyone who takes the exam is an enemy, and he can even fight Naruto and little Sakura. Hokage office. Tsunade sat on the sofa with his legs crossed, his delicate and cute face full of solemnity, holding a photo and staring at the strange numbers in it, with two strange little toads standing next to him. What's wrong? Is the lecherous old man in trouble? Yagyu appeared instantly and glanced at the two toad sages lightly. Although Tsunade didn't say what happened when she called him, she could roughly guess something from the expressions of the toads. Yagyu. The two toad sages looked at Yagyu. Jiraiya is dead. Tsunade rubbed his temples. A feeling of grief welled up in his heart. No matter what, Jiraiya was an old friend, and even she couldn't stay calm when she heard the news of her friend's death. Yagyu Tsuki sat on the sofa, grabbed the snacks on the plate and threw them into his mouth, saying while eating, really, died in Rain Shinobi Village. There was no surprise to hear the news of death, because he knew that the lecherous old man would die. When the lecherous old man insisted on going to Rain Shinobi Village and wanted to see the truth, he was destined to die. Yagyu Tsuki said, it's stupid to go there knowing that you will die, but no matter what, the lecherous old man is a responsible and good master. If it were me, I would also go to clean up the door. Do you know about Rain Shinobi Village? Tsunade was puzzled. I know, I warned him before, but the stinky old man insisted on going there to die. Well, I'll just mourn for a second reluctantly. Yagyu Tsuki sighed. It's okay even if Rain Shinobi Village is left alone. He will deal with pain later anyway. The leader of Rain Shinobi Village is Uzumaki Nagato, right? Tsunade frowned slightly. She remembered that Yagyu Tsuki had said that the leader of Akatsuki was Uzumaki Nagato, and Akatsuki's hideout was in Rain Shinobi Village, so the leader of Rain Shinobi Village was naturally Nagato. Yagyu Tsuki ate biscuits and said vaguely, that's right, but to be precise, it should be Obito. You will accompany me to the 5-Kage summit tomorrow. It's just right to announce the information at the summit and tell other ninja villages about the situation of Rain Shinobi Village, the kings. If you attack Rain Shinobi Village without authorization, it may cause some interest problems. Tsunade threw the photo to Yagyu Tsuki and asked, also, do you recognize these numbers? Pain's information. Yagyu Tsuki picked up the photo and glanced at it. He didn't need to look at it to know what the numbers meant. It was just information about Pain. What do you know? Tsunade asked hurriedly. Does the dead white-haired guy know Pain's information? Or can the dead white-haired guy see through the secret of the numbers at a glance? Since Pain was able to kill Jiraiya, it is enough to prove that Pain has a very strong and mysterious ability, so Pain's information is very important. Open black lens bracket 158 close black lens bracket the past of the Rinnegan. Toad Sage jumped onto Yagyu Tsuki's shoulder, recalling the previous battle in Rain Shinobi Village, and asked hurriedly, I just told Tsunade everything about the battle with Pain. If you want to hear it, I'll tell you again. Even if you use Sage mode to fight Pain, there is no obvious advantage, because there are 6 Pains, and each Pain has a unique ability. Especially the one who looked like Yahiko, Pain, seemed to have the ability to manipulate gravity, and could even defend the Sage Art Massive Rasengan in Sage mode without any damage. Toad Sage had just told Tsunade everything about the previous battle in Rain Shinobi Village, but it had not yet figured out Pain's true ability, or the ability of Rinnegan.
No need, I don't need to listen to the messy process. Anyway, no matter who it is, it's not as strong as me. Yagyu Tsuki threw Toad Sage on the sofa, and then patted his shoulder with disgust. Dead Toad, don't touch me.
He really didn't have the interest to listen to the process, because Pain's ability was just those things, and there was no need to worry about it at all. Toad Sage didn't care about being thrown away, and asked hurriedly, do you know Pain's ability? They plan to capture all the tailed beasts, and 947 should soon target Uzumaki Naruto.
What's the point of targeting? No one can take away the youth of young people. Yagyu Tsuki took a sip of tea and said lightly, as for abilities. I know very well that the ability used by Pain is very low level, it's nothing more than the basic ability of Rinnegan. Quote. Can Naruto be targeted by Pain just by saying so?
Naruto is his important cash cow. Pain's ability is the basis of Rinnegan, which is very powerful for civilian ninjas, but it is meaningless in the eyes of Yagyu Tsuki. Uzumaki Nagato does not have the bloodline of the Uchiha clan, so he cannot use the true power of Rinnegan. Rinnegan can strengthen his own pupil power, and also has the exclusive ability after opening the eyes. Uzumaki Nagato does not have the Uchiha bloodline, and still uses the Rinnegan of Uchiha Madara, so he can neither enhance his pupil power nor use a series of exclusive abilities such as the Rinnegan and Tengai Shinsei. The basic ability of Rinnegan? Everyone in the audience was slightly stunned. They all knew the legend of Rinnegan, but it was the first time they heard of the basic ability, so they could not understand the concept of basic ability at all. How should I put it? It's hard to describe it in words. Uzumaki Nagato gave the 6 basic abilities of Rinnegan to the 6 puppets of Pain. By the way, their vision is connected. Yagyu Tsuki put on a face that asked for a beating, and glanced at all the ninjas present with disdain, including Natsu, Shizune, Kakashi, Shikaku, Might Guy, and 10 others. To be honest, you don't need to care about Pain's ability, because I am his most difficult enemy to overcome, and you are just a byproduct of the audience. This is indeed the case. The enemy that Uzumaki Nagato wants to solve the most is Yagyu Tsuki, and all the others are byproducts after solving Yagyu Tsuki. Because if you want to capture all the tailed beasts, you need to get past Yagyu Tsuki first, so when Uzumaki Nagato recovers his pupil power, he will take the initiative to find Yagyu Tsuki first. Everyone in the audience was silent for a long time, and some people moved their mouths but couldn't say anything, because Yagyu Tsuki's words made sense. As long as Yagyu Tsuki, the strongest ninja, is still alive, the enemy will see Yagyu Tsuki first. But everyone still wants to know Pain's ability, and come up with countermeasures after knowing the ability. It is always a good thing to take precautions before it happens. Tsunade gently held Yagyu Tsuki's hand and said in a coaxing tone, Pain's story is very important. If you know, please tell me. Oh, it's so troublesome, but since Suna said so, I'll reluctantly say a few words. Yagyu Tsuki sighed. It's okay to explain Pain's ability, but after the explanation, these people will definitely ask about Nagato, and then about Obito and Rinnegan. Because these information are very explosive, each one is enough to shock the ninja world, whether it is Uchiha Obito's plan, or the true master of Rinnegan, these are all enough to affect the situation of the ninja world. Everyone in the audience secretly breathed a sigh of relief and secretly gave Tsunade a thumbs up. If Tsunade was not present, Yagyu Tsuki's casual and troublesome personality would definitely pass over Pain's story. Yagyu Tsuki said, in that case, let's start from a long time ago. How long ago? Tsunade frowned. She knew that Yagyu Tsuki was going to talk a lot. Yagyu Tsuki was really bothered, but once she had something to say, she would talk a lot. It was like telling a story. Yagyu Tsuki raised a finger and said with a slight smile, that long before your grandfather died. Tsunade's mouth twitched slightly, and she grabbed Yagyu Tsuki's collar and said unhappily, are you looking for a beating? Did the dead white-haired man do it on purpose? It's just explaining Pain's ability. Is it necessary to talk about before Hashirama's death? Don't be so excited. It really has to be traced back to that era. Yagyu Tsuki shrugged, glanced at Tsunade's slightly bulging belly, and said, if you lose your temper casually, be careful to affect the next generation. HMPH, tell me. Tsunade snorted lightly, let go of Yagyu Tsuki and gently stroked her belly. Touching the slightly bulging belly, a warm feeling surged in her heart. It's a girl. It will be born in a few months. I'm looking forward to it. Uchiha Madara activated the Rinnegan before he died of old age, and then secretly manipulated Uchiha Obito to transplant the Rinnegan to Uzumaki Nagato. Yagyu Tsuki told the whole story from Uchiha Madara to Uzumaki Nagato and then to Rain Shinobi Village in front of everyone, while Nara Shikaku recorded every word on a scroll open black lens bracket 159 close black lens bracket the story of the origin of chakra. Not long after, Yagyu Tsuki told the whole story, starting from Uchiha Madara biting a piece of Hashirama's flesh, cultivating Rinnegan before dying of old age, transplanting Rinnegan to Uzumaki Nagato, and Uchiha Obito and Madara's plan to capture all the tailed beasts to open infinite Tsukuyomi and release the chakra ancestor Otsutsuki Kagaya.
Each of these things was shocking, and the audience was stunned, because it was the first time they heard that the legendary Rinnegan could be opened artificially, and the earliest history of ninjas was Kagaya swallowing the fruit of the sacred tree.
Moreover, the Blood Mist Village of the former Mist Village was actually operated by Uchiha Obito behind the scenes. If this information was spread, it would be enough to shake the entire ninja world. Kagaya. Everyone in the audience felt heavy-hearted. Kaguya's name was well known, surpassing the Sage of Six Paths. The legendary chakra ancestor actually existed, a person. But the question is, why does Yagyu Tsuki know these things? Chakra founder Kagaya is a person who has never appeared in history. Why does Yagyu Tsuki know such an ancient person? Knowing Obito and Madara's plan is understandable, but the problem is Chakra founder. God Tree Fruit, these are stories that ordinary people can't understand. Why does it sound like a story? Tsunade stared at Yagyu Tsuki strangely, and found that Yagyu Tsuki was not joking, and those things just now seemed to be telling the truth. Just treat it as a fairy tale. You can listen to the story, but it's more troublesome to explain the power of Rinnegan. Besides, you won't understand even if I explain it. If you are curious about the power of Rinnegan, you can wait until I deal with Nagato in the future, and you can watch the show from a distance. Yagyu Tsuki crossed his legs, took a big sip of juice, and murmured, "It's so troublesome, a waste of words." He knew that it was hard for the people present to believe the existence of Chakra ancestor Kagaya, because Sage of Six Paths were all legendary figures, and even many people were artificially saying that Sage of Six Paths were all fictitious legends, not to mention creating a Chakra ancestor group. Everyone in the audience was speechless, because Yagyu Tsuki's attitude was really asking for a beating. It was like saying that even if they knew Rinnegan, it would be useless, and they would just be watching the show from the side after knowing it. But the problem was that the information they wanted to know at the beginning was Rinnegan, and they wanted to know the full power of Uzumaki Nagato's Rinnegan, but Yagyu Tsuki didn't tell them. As for the Rinnegan ability, he talked about a lot of things like stories. Yagyu Tsuki did it on purpose. This guy would rather tell a lot of stories than let them know the Rinnegan ability. Yagyu Tsuki probably thought that even if he told them about the Rinnegan ability, they would not be able to understand those abilities. Since we have heard the story, let's go. Yagyu Tsuki waved his hand in disdain. He really didn't plan to explain the Rinnegan, because there would be more questions and more words to waste after the explanation. Besides, he would solve the Whirlpool Nagato, so there was no need for others to know so much information. Hokage, I'm going to the intelligence department. Nara Shikaku put away the scroll, turned around and walked out of the office quickly, thinking about the story Yagyu Tsuki told. If there really was someone like Kagaya, it would be a threat to the entire ninja world. Tsunade waved her hand and ordered, "Monitor Rain Shinobi Village, report any problems immediately and disperse." Yes. Might Guy and the others left, leaving only Tsunade and Yagyu Tsuki in the office. Shizune, who followed Tsunade's drum every day, was busy handling things in the medical class. 0. Asking for flowers. Tsunade looked at Yagyu Tsuki next to her, and after a quick look, she asked directly, "Who is stronger, you or Uzumaki Nagato?" Uzumaki Nagato has the Rinnegan, and the Rinnegan is a legendary power. In the face of the legendary power, will Yagyu Tsuki really have a chance of winning? She knew that Yagyu Tsuki was very strong, to an outrageous degree, but that was the legendary Rinnegan. Yagyu Tsuki said, "Who is stronger? It's hard to say. There is no need to make a conclusion about things that have not happened." Tsunade asked, "Will you lose? You will win." Yagyu didn't think much about it. The smile on his lips gave people a feeling of confidence and arrogance. He never thought that he would lose. No matter who the enemy is, he will definitely win. He hates the feeling of losing and enjoys the feeling of winning. Tsunade moved his buttocks and lay on Yagyu's legs naturally. Looking at Yagyu's handsome face, he said worriedly, "You are very strong, but it is always good to be careful." It's okay. Yagyu glanced at Tsunade's slightly bulging belly and said, "But you? Are you okay? There is no need to participate in the 5-cage talks. It's just trash huddling together for warmth." "You are trash." Tsunade sat up and bit Yagyu's neck angrily. Yagyu said that the 5-cage talks were trash huddling together for warmth. Is this also saying that she and Terumi Mei are trash? Hiss, Yagyu sucked in a breath of cold air, rubbed her neck with teeth marks, and said speechlessly, "Are you born in the year of the dog? Who told you to say that about me?" Tsunade snorted. She knew that Yagyu was pretending to be in pain, because she didn't bite that hard. 160. The 5-cage summit, pain begins to act. The past week has been Tsunade's time, so Yagyu Tsuki slept with Tsunade at night, but he didn't do anything, just being used as a pillow by Tsunade. Of course, this is also good. The sun is scorching and the sky is clear. The entrance of the village. There are huge crowds of people, and the mighty ninjas stand on both sides in an orderly manner. They respectfully watch Tsunade leave the village. Before that, Tsunade had just become Hokage not long ago, and had already received the support of most ninjas in the village. Because Tsunade is the granddaughter of the first Hokage and the best medical ninja in the whole ninja world.
When she first took office, she solved many troublesome problems, and there was Yagyu Tsuki, a very popular ninja, behind her, so, 367, had already controlled the village in a short time.
At first, they were embarrassed by Yagyu Tsuki's face, but now most people respect Tsunade very much, and there are no random voices in secret, because the leader of the root, Shimura Danzo, died a long time ago. Kurenai glanced at Tsunade's slightly bulging belly, with a trace of worry in her eyes, and said, Hokage-sama, you should strengthen the guard. Although Yagyu is very strong, some mistakes are inevitable. Tsunade is very strong, but now Tsunade can't attack at will because there is a little life in her belly.
The shadow of a village attracts bees like nectar, and many people with ulterior motives want to solve the shadow of other villages, so as to give other villages a serious blow.
Although Yagyu Tsuki is very strong, but what if? What if there is a mistake? Kurenai is also looking forward to the safe birth of the little life in Tsunade's belly. Tsunade waved her hands and said proudly, It's okay, I'm the Hokage.
It's okay, just treat it as a date. If there are really reckless people who dare to make trouble, I can kill them in seconds. Yagyu Tsuki touched Yuhi Kurenai's little head and teased, Sister Kurenai, why are you more worried than a mother? Yuhi Kurenai glanced at Yagyu Tsuki and told her, protect the Hokage.
In fact, there is nothing to worry about. Although Yagyu Tsuki is a playful person, he is still very reliable at critical moments. Moreover, he has dealt with several cage-level rebels of Akatsuki some time ago. Yagyu Tsuki's overwhelming combat power should be a deterrent to some people who are interested. No one should be stupid enough to make trouble, right? Let's go. Yagyu Tsuki picked up Tsunade. Tsunade blinked in confusion, feeling the teasing gazes of the crowd, her fair and delicate face flushed, she struggled like a naughty child, and shouted, Let me go, I can walk by myself. Don't be silly, your teleportation is too slow. After saying that, Lu Shungyue disappeared directly, and with his teleportation speed, he could reach the neutral country of Iron Country in more than an hour.
But with Tsunade's speed, it might take a day or two.
Ah, is it really okay? Everyone in the audience looked at the direction where Lu Shungyue and Tsunade disappeared, and everyone sighed secretly. If they hadn't been so worried before, because Tsunade herself had a strong cage-level combat power. But the problem is, no matter how strong she is, pregnancy will reduce her combat power. If there is really a problem, with Lu Shungyue's protective personality, she will definitely be extremely furious, right? Hiss Lu Shungyue is angry, it's scary to think about it.
I can only hope that no fool will really cause trouble. The cages of the 5 major ninja villages went to the Iron Kingdom. The 5 cage talks they held this time were related to Akatsuki, as well as the alliance between Yagyu Tsuki and the Mist Village.
Because now among the 5 major ninja villages, 3 are allied villages, Konoha Village, Sand Shinobi Village, and Mist Village. The situation of the alliance of the 3 major ninja villages will change the pattern of the 5 major countries. At this time, Rain Shinobi Village. Pain stood on the top of the Black Tower building, overlooking the vast lake below, recalling the previous battle with Jiraiya, without any emotional fluctuations on his face, and his tone seemed to carry a trace of regret, Teacher Jiraiya. Although after experiencing pain and cutting off the past, if you want to change the ninja world, you need to pay a corresponding price, but no matter what, Jiraiya is one of his important people in the past. Wang. Pale paper pieces flew all over the sky, slowly falling to the ground like sakura flowers, all the paper pieces condensed together to become a tall and beautiful queen. Pain. The Hokage has left the village, and the guard is Yagyu Tsuki. Konan wore a black coat embroidered with red cloud patterns, and her purple long hair was elegantly tied behind her head, the coat stuck to her body, revealing her seductive figure. The 6 paths have recovered their strength and are ready to invade the 5-cage summit. You, Uchiha Itachi, and the masked man, go to stop Yagyu Tsuki and find a chance to capture Tsunade alive. Pain said indifferently, I heard that Tsunade is pregnant. After Tsunade is arrested, Yagyu Tsuki should be cautious. Yes. Konan said coldly. Now Uzumaki Nagato has recovered his pupil power, although he can defeat Yagyu Tsuki head-on with the power of the 4.6th round of the eye, some unexpected things are inevitable. So capturing Yagyu Tsuki's woman as a hostage to limit Yagyu Tsuki's mobility is the best solution at present. Start the action. In the name of God, this time must succeed, Konan. If there is danger, you run. As soon as Pain finished speaking, the other 5 peons fell beside him. Konan turned into a piece of paper and disappeared, and Pain's 6 paths also disappeared. Uzumaki Nagato planned to use the 5 cage talks to completely eliminate the cages of the 5 major ninja villages. If possible, he would eliminate Yagyu Tsuki in one go. After solving these high-level combat forces, the remaining people would almost be a mob. 161. Konan appears again, 1 billion detonating tags. At this time, at the border of the Land of Fire, in the forest. Lu Shungyue fell to the ground in an instant, looked at Tsunade's pale face, and asked, Do you want to rest for a while? I'm fine. Before Tsunade finished speaking, a cramping and nauseous feeling surged in her stomach, and the inside of her stomach was also aching. Even medical ninjutsu could not completely suppress this uncomfortable feeling. Children who are stubborn will not get candy. Lu Shengyue looked at Tsunade, who was covering his mouth and trying not to vomit, smiled helplessly, and carried Tsunade to the tree and put him on the ground. I'm used to it. It should be much better in 2 months. Tsunade frowned. She has been feeling uncomfortable recently because it is a normal phenomenon during pregnancy. It will be better in about 2 months. 3 o'clock. Suddenly, white paper pieces covered the whole place. All the dancing paper pieces condensed into a tall lady. Konan hung in the air with paper wings, looking down at Yagyu Tsuki and Tsunade below with indifference and coldness. Paper shuriken. Konan looked at Yagyu Tsunade's defenseless state, and a cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Die, you disgusting man. In the name of God, 247. There is nothing to say to you. You will hinder our dreams. You are not allowed to exist. This time I will completely get rid of you. Let's avoid the battle first. It was nothing before, but if we are affected now. Tsunade gently touched her slightly bulging belly. Although she didn't finish her words, the meaning she wanted to express was already very clear. In the white huge wave of paper, all the paper was pasted with detonating tags, at least about 1 billion detonating tags. No need, she can be dealt with in 1 round. Yagyu Tsuki looked at Konan indifferently, and the indifferent eyes seemed to be as if she didn't take Konan seriously at all. Recalling the humiliation of Yagyu Tsunade some time ago, Konan's eyes gradually showed disgust. She burst out a huge chakra, which must be able to reach the level of Cage. Don't worry about it, it's just a little trick. Yagyu Tsuki slowly stood up, patted the dust on his pants, and then picked up Tsunade next to him. Dense black smoke rose to the sky, and the surging fire coiled around the black smoke like a dragon. After the two merged, they became a small mushroom cloud. Sharingan, Lu Shengyue said, tell me something, like a last word, because soon you will become my loyal licking dog. Konan thought that the shadow was very strong, but if he wanted him to take it seriously, he had to be at least a 6 pads level strongman. What a rare guest. Is there something wrong with Uzumaki Nagato's brain? He actually sent your real body to act. Yagyu Tsuki sat on the ground, looking indifferently at the huge wave of paper pieces approaching infinitely like kunai. Paper technique of God. Konan clasped her white hands together, and a huge wave of paper rose from the ground. The paper rolled and engulfed Yagyu Tsunade and Tsunade. Crow? Tsunade was puzzled. After seeing that the crow's left eye was Sharingan, she showed a hint of surprise in her eyes. Of course I have to show off my power, otherwise how will others know that I am strong? Power is just a tool for self-satisfaction, right? Lu Shengyue slapped his hands on the ground, and a large piece of white smoke came out with a bang. A black crow flew onto his shoulder, and the crow's left eye was a scarlet 3-tomo Sharingan. It's so abominable. Boom boom. Nearly 1 billion detonating tags exploded at the same time, and the whole forest was reduced to ashes in an instant. A super large pit appeared on the ground, and the explosion sounded like thunder in the sky. That was indeed the case. Crow? Konan snorted coldly, pretentious. I hate people who like to show off to others when they have a little strength. He could see at a glance that Konan, who was role-playing an angel above, was not a paper clone, but a real body in the true sense. Such a strong fire style. Konan's expression gradually became serious. She had just been staring at Yagyu Tsuki the whole time, and she also found that Yagyu Tsuki was just using fire style casually, but the power of that fire style casually used could be comparable to S level. I can only say, I'm so lucky, finally, I can test the distinguished heavenly gods. The crow's left eye was Shisui's eye. Ong. The white wings behind Konan flapped, and countless pieces of paper flew out like kunai, cutting through everything in the forest, and the pieces of paper blasted towards Yagyu Tsunade and Tsunade below at a very fast speed. Damn white-haired. Tsunade's face changed slightly, and just as he was about to pull Yagyu Tsuki back, he said, the fire is extinguished. Yagyu Tsuki made a seal with one hand, and spit out a high-temperature flame from his mouth. After the flame fell to the ground, it formed a vast sea of fire. The fierce flame wave engulfed all the paper pieces in an instant, and the splashing flames ignited the entire forest, turning the forest into a burning purgatory. What is the dead white-haired man going to do? The humiliation in Wave Country at that time was still fresh in her memory, because it was the first time she was beaten on the ground. 162. Bakudo number 81. Splitting Void. Thick smoke rose up, and the whole forest was reduced to ashes, turning into a huge pit with only scorched earth, and melted stones rolled into scorched earth, forming golden red-hot lava. Don't hate me. This is God's order. Konan looked down indifferently, looking at the area covered by thick black smoke, and said coldly, Nagato is the legendary son of prophecy. He will definitely bring peace to the world, and you will become an obstacle to peace. Yagyu Yu's chakra disappeared, and he couldn't sense Tsunade's chakra fluctuations. Since the chakra disappeared, he should be dead, right? But, I always feel that this time is so easy. I couldn't kill Yagyu Yu last time. Could it be that adding the detonating talisman to 1 billion this time? Even if Yagyu Yu has the power of wood style, he can't resist the detonation of 1 billion, right? It's normal to think about it. After all, it is the power of 1 billion detonating talismans, and even all the detonating talismans are with Yagyu Yu and Tsunade, almost a close-up explosion at 0 distance. Although Nagato's order was to capture Tsunade alive and use her as a hostage to restrain Yagyu Tsuki, there was no need to capture hostages now, because Yagyu Tsuki and Tsunade were already dead. As long as Yagyu Tsuki could be dealt with, 9 tails could be easily captured. Conan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, showing a beautiful smile. I won, finally, I can completely deal with Yagyu Tsuki, the most annoying man I have ever seen.
You are darkness, and in a world without light, flowers can only wither. I want to be the pillar that supports Yahiko and Nagato, the 2 bridges. Conan condensed a paper flower in his palm, and then threw the flower into the huge pit below.
We will win. We will definitely win. I will support Yahiko and Nagato and fulfill our childhood dreams.
An arrogant voice sounded behind Conan. The more chaotic the world is, the more interesting it is.
The stronger the power is, the more satisfied it is. What is the meaning of power in a world without war? It is precisely because there is a gap between people that power can become a tool for bullying the weak.
How is it possible? Conan heard the arrogant voice behind him, a trace of panic flashed in his eyes, and a feeling of disbelief surged in his heart. He controlled the white wings and flew out suddenly, keeping a safe distance from Yagyu Tsuki.
Conan rarely changes his emotions, but at this time, he looked at Yagyu Tsuki standing in the sky in the distance, holding Tsunade and holding a lollipop. She's still alive, and unharmed. How is it possible? She can withstand a billion detonating talismans head-on and still be unharmed. Is Yagyu Tsuki a human? Didn't she get hit by the detonating talisman? Conan really couldn't believe that someone could withstand a billion detonating talismans head-on without any injury. Yagyu Tsuki glanced at the scorched corner of his clothes and pursed his lips and said, It hit directly. Look, the clothes are all stained. What was that just now? Tsunade recalled what happened just now, and felt confused. He was indeed besieged by the billion detonating talismans just now, but at that moment, Yagyu Tsuki seemed to have turned the space into a wall, thus completely blocking the attack of the detonating talismans. How did you do it? Even with Conan's cold personality, she was staring at Yagyu Tsuki with a confused expression at this time. She did see Yagyu Tsuki being completely swallowed by the billion detonating talismans just now, but why is Yagyu Tsuki unharmed now? Even Tsunade was unharmed. Is it so shocking? The gap between us is quite obvious, isn't it? Yagyu Tsuki sipped the candy in his mouth and looked at Conan with a little surprise. He just used the Bakudo 81 splitting void that he got when he signed in yesterday. That is, the Shinigami's Power Kido series. Conan was silent, staring at Yagyu Tsuki indifferently.
The billion detonating tags she just used were her strongest means at present.
Since the billion detonating tags could hurt Yagyu Tsuki, it means that there is no way to deal with Yagyu Tsuki now.
Although there are 3 people in this operation, Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Itachi seem to have no intention of fighting Yagyu Tsuki.
In short, the 2 of them have been hiding in the dark and have not made a move yet. They should be thinking about something in their hearts. Yagyu Tsuki said lightly, Are you curious? If so, then be satisfied. Attack me with any move. Come on, I will show you once. Wait, why can you fly? Gang. Okay. Suddenly reacted, looked at the huge pit below, and then looked at Yagyu Tsuki's handsome and elegant profile. The dead white hair can actually fly. Although I don't understand what you want to do, since you let me attack, don't blame me for taking advantage of you. Conan clasped his hands together, and the scorched earth on the ground turned into pieces of paper. The pieces of paper rose from the ground like huge waves and hit Yagyu Tsukishiro. Although they were pieces of paper, each piece of paper was as sharp as a void. Bakudo number 81. Splitting void. Yagyu Tsukishiro looked at the paper that was approaching like a huge wave indifferently, and slowly raised 2 fingers. The space in front of him solidified into a colorless wall. The huge colorless space wall was erected in front of him, blocking all the attacks of the paper pieces. 163. Distinguished heavenly gods control Conan. Wall. Conan stared at the transparent wall erected in the sky, and a sense of wonder surged in her heart. What was that transparent wall formed by space? It was the first time she saw such a strange spatial ability. Although sometimes spatial abilities can divert attacks, it was the first time she saw a defensive ability that can solidify space. Look. Lu Shungyue touched Conan's head, and then touched Conan's white and smooth chin like teasing a kitten. While Conan rubbed Lu Shungyue's hand with a look of enjoyment, showing an attitude like a pet being kept. Lu Shungyue looked at Conan's plump bears, and after a moment raised his hand to slap Conan's bears. Pretend. Sell pretense. Danzo dug one out, and the beast robbed one. Yagyu Tsuki glanced at the crow's dim left eye, and then the crow disappeared with a bang. Distinguished heavenly gods. Shisui's eyes. Tsunade looked at crow's left eye, which was now dim, as if the remaining pupil power had been consumed. Jailing flower. Master. Conan's cold and beautiful face flushed, and she used her arms to block the bear that was hurt by the slap, with shyness in her eyes, and looked at Lu Shungyue aggrievedly. But is it really that magical? Tsunade's tone was hesitant. She was a little unbelievable that just a glare could force a strong shadow to obey completely. Come to think of it, Obito and Itachi are both traitors, and Uchiha Obito never thought of confronting him, Yagyu Tsuki. It seems to be quite effective. Yagyu Tsunade fell to the ground, and looked at Konan in front of her, who was lying on the ground with his head trembling. Master? Tsunade looked at Yagyu strangely. She knew that this dead white-haired man was making trouble again, and deliberately imposed the master's concept on Konan. He should be planning to do some unspeakable dirty things. Ong. Konan's body trembled slightly, and the paper behind her disappeared, slowly falling into the pit below. Her mind was blank now, and she couldn't think at all. A lot of memories that she had never experienced before emerged in her head. Look, the defense formed after cutting the space, in layman's terms, is that your attack cannot touch me from the front. Yagyu Tsuki unlocked Splitting Void, and the 3 Magatama in Crow's left eye turned and gradually turned into a dark red Mangekyo Sharingan. To be honest, the crisp sound of slap resounded throughout the venue, and Konan's full bear rippled slightly. Distinguished Heavenly Gods. Yagyu Tsuki's misty blue Tensigan condensed, and at the same time, the Mangekyo in Crow's left eye also condensed. Where did you get Shisui's eyes? Tsunade was puzzled. Uchiha Shisui's eyes were very famous. It was said that they could rewrite other people's cognition and impose some concepts on the person being treated. But the problem was that Uchiha Shisui had been dead for a long time. Why did Yagyu Tsuki have Shisui's eyes? Tsunade looked at Konan like a pet and fell into disbelief. The enemy who was just aggressive was now as obedient as a pet. If it were before, she would definitely be furious, but now her cognition has been rewritten. In her heart, Lu Shengyue is everything, and she is the master who must be obeyed. That's right. Yagyu Tsuki nodded. Watch it. Yagyu looked down at Konan lightly, coughed twice and said, Ahem, come here. You. Konan didn't finish his words. Yes. Konan unbuttoned the red cloud coat, revealing a tall and graceful figure, and then took off the coat and folded it on the ground. The mouse hiding in the dark doesn't seem to be planning to show up, so let's end this boring game here, we still have to hurry. As soon as the voice fell, Yagyu Tsuki raised 2 fingers and made a finger snap mark. The crow's left eye flashed a bright red light, and the huge pupil power reverberated throughout the area. It's no different from a disposable consumable. He couldn't be sure if it was that magical, because it was the first time to use distinguished heavenly gods. Pervert. Tsunade elbowed Lu Shengyue's abdomen. She was just wondering what Lu Shengyue was going to do, but she didn't expect that she would take advantage of him by slapping him. After using it once, does it take a long time to restore the pupil power? Hiss. It hurts. Lu Shengyue took a breath of cold air, covering her slightly painful abdomen. Looking at Konan's aggrieved expression, a sense of satisfaction surged in her heart. Take off your coat. Lu Shengyue ordered. Danzo. It seems that the old fox did a lot of things when he was alive. Tsunade cursed inwardly, then looked at the gradually stable Konan in the distance, and asked in confusion, You rewrote Konan's memory? Even the naughty enemy is my servant. He could sense Obito and Itachi's chakra, but the two didn't seem to plan to show up, and watched this boring farce in the dark. Memory. Not that exaggerated, it can only rewrite her cognition. In short, she will now regard me as her only master, and Uzumaki Nagato as her biggest enemy. It's a very convenient ability, right? Yagyu said. Although distinguished heavenly gods is very convenient, the effect will be weakened for people with strong pupil skills. Yes, master. Konan slowly got up, walked to Lu Shengyue's front, knelt on one knee, lowered his head and said respectfully, Please give me your orders. 164. Resurrection of Uchiha Madara? So what do you plan to do with her? After all, she was a member of Akatsuki before, and distinguished heavenly gods is still an unstable jutsu, right? Keeping her around might be dangerous. Tsunade looked at Konan, and seeing Konan's obedient attitude, a trace of vigilance flashed in her eyes. Although Konan is obedient now, after all, she was a cage-level strongman before, and she was also a member of the Akatsuki organization that endangered the ninja world. If she stays around, what if hypnosis suddenly fails one day and she turns against us when everyone is unprepared? But it's a pity to get rid of Konan now. After all, she is a cage-level strongman of the Akatsuki organization. There are still many places for her to be used by her, but the problem is, I'm afraid Konan will suddenly turn against us. Yagyu Tsuki put his arm around Konan's shoulders, smiled lightly, waved his hand and said, It's okay, just stay by your side as a secretary. Even if there is a problem, I can solve it. Anyway, now that Konan has been subdued, I am looking forward to the expression of Uzumaki Nagato. In the dark room. You are such a good leader. Even if the Hokage leaves the village, what does it matter? Whether in the village or outside the village, Yagyu Tsuki is still Yagyu Tsuki.
You think his power is too simple. The space twisted into a spiral state, and Uchiha Obito appeared with the twisted space, and the Scarlet 3 Tomo Sharingan shone in the darkness.
Uzumaki Nagato asked coldly, What method? At this time, Rain Shinobi Village. It should be very interesting, right? Uchiha Obito said in a deep voice. Konan failed. She is now Yagyu Tsuki's person. Before, I was thinking about how to trick Nagato into using Rinne Tensai, but now Konan was kidnapped by Yagyu Tsuki, which has completely angered Nagato. I can use this to trick Nagato and use Rinne Tensai on Uchiha Madara, and then get the plan back on track. How is it possible? Uchiha Obito said, Distinguished Heavenly Gods. Yagyu Tsuki used Distinguished Heavenly Gods on Konan. Now the information about Akatsuki and the secret of Rinnegan should have been mastered by Yagyu Tsuki. Take her with you. Just say she is your secretary. No one has seen Konan anyway. Yagyu Tsuki flipped his hand like a magic trick, took out a dark gray cloak, and then put the cloak on Konan, covering his tall, proud and graceful figure. That is the so-called power of the legendary Chunin. Soon, the group headed to the Iron Kingdom. He didn't plan to take action this time because he knew that ordinary means could not solve Yagyu Tsuki, let alone capture Tsunade in front of Yagyu Tsuki. Who is Suna? Tsunade said unhappily. It would be great if she is really a secretary. What will she do if we go to the Iron Country? Tsunade looked at him strangely. It was as if he could see through Yagyu Tsuki's thoughts. He put on an expression that said, I know what you want to do. What does this mean? Uchiha Obito's face in the mask raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said, resurrect the legendary ninja Uchiha Madara, who has the power to rival the first Hokage, and knows the wood-style bloodline limit very well. Alas. Konan betrayed. Distinguished Heavenly Gods. Uzumaki Nagato's face gradually turned pale, his eyes showed anger, and a huge amount of chakra burst out of his body, and the entire Black Tower building was shaking violently. Hard to accept. With your power, it's hard to deal with Yagyu Tsuki. Now Akatsuki is on the verge of death. After the 5 Cage talks, all the major powers will take action, and Rain Shinobi Village will be destroyed. Uchiha Obito said, but now there is a solution that can not only deal with Yagyu Tsuki, but also save your important people. You can even capture all the tailed beasts in 10 breaths. Obito and the beast ran pretty fast. Yagyu Tsuki used the misty blue Tensigen to glance in the distance. He could sense 2 chakras there before, but now they have completely disappeared. He should be using Kamui to move at high speed over long distances. Really, I'm glad you're confident. Tsunade looked at Konan carefully. Both his face and figure were top-notch. Why did he deliberately hypnosis Konan? He must have ulterior motives, right? Let's go. Tsunade nodded slightly. She knew that Yagyu Tsuki knew her limits, so she didn't continue to care about Konan, but to be honest, this turn of events was a bit emotional. The Akatsuki organization took the opportunity to leave the village and came to the door, and then Konan was hypnosis by Yagyu Tsuki. 0, please give me flowers, the top of the Black Tower building. Want to laugh? What do you mean? Nagato Uzumaki slowly opened his eyes, revealing the respectful Rinnegan. Oh, yes, you can ask her any questions are fine. Yagyu Tsuki put his arm around Tsunade's shoulders, pointed at Konan who was standing honestly in front of him, and said, you really want to know about Akatsuki, right? Suna. On the way to the Iron Kingdom, Tsunade consulted Konan about many things about Akatsuki and Nagato Uzumaki's Rinnegan ability, and Konan told him everything he knew. Uzumaki Nagato had a misunderstanding of Yagyu Tsuki's strength from the beginning, and Yagyu Tsuki should have the power to fight Madara. Konan was the most important person to him now, and such an important person was kidnapped by Yagyu Tsuki with hypnosis. What did you say? Uzumaki Nagato's face changed drastically. He didn't understand what Uchiha Obito meant for the time being. Konan is now Yagyu Tsuki's man? 165. Pain's determination, the shadows of each village. Uchiha Madara. Even Uzumaki Nagato was slightly startled. Of course, he had heard of Uchiha Madara's name, because he was a ninja who could stand on equal footing with the god of ninja. If he could use Uchiha Madara, it would indeed speed up the completion of the plan, but the question was, is Uchiha Madara so easy to control? Uchiha Madara's goal is to change the world, and for this he needs to capture the 9-tailed beasts. His goal is the same as ours. Resurrecting him will definitely solve Yagyu Tsuki and also liberate your important people. Uchiha Obito's low voice resounded throughout the room, and he was further promoting Uzumaki Nagato's idea. But he didn't lie. Uchiha Madara was indeed very strong. Whether it was legend or real strength, 630, had a top power close to the Sage of 6 Paths. After Uchiha Madara was resurrected, he would definitely be able to solve Yagyu Tsuki and easily capture the 9-tailed beasts to start infinite Tsukuyomi, although resurrecting Uchiha Madara was somewhat different from his idea. Because he originally planned to become 10 Tails Jinchuriki and skip the resurrection of Uchiha Madara, but now if he wants to deal with Yagyu Tsuki, he must revive Uchiha Madara. Otherwise, Project Tsuki no Mi will definitely fail. As long as he can create a world with Lin, it doesn't matter what the process is. No need, Pain has never lost. If there is really no way out, I will consider it. Uzumaki Nagato looked at Obito coldly. He had never believed in Obito once. In the troubled times, he could only believe in his own strength. If he used Rinne Tensai to revive Uchiha Madara, he would gradually die due to the side effects. He must take Yahiko's dream and create a world without war with his own hands. The 5 Cage talks as an opportunity to start the final battle in the name of God.
Uzumaki Nagato's low voice was firm. He wanted to use the opportunity of the 5 Cage talks to completely solve Yagyu Tsuki and the 5 Cage.
As long as Yagyu Tsuki and the 5 Cage died, it would only take time to capture the 9-tailed beasts. Konan. Wait for me. I will solve Yagyu Tsuki soon. Yagyu Tsuki dared to take away my only remaining important person. I will never allow this to happen. Huh, stupid, Yagyu Tsuki's power is beyond your imagination. If you insist on doing so, I will watch it to the end. I hope you can revive Uchiha Madara at the moment of your defeat. Uchiha Obito sneered. He believed that Uzumaki Nagato would definitely lose because Yagyu Tsuki's power was too outrageous, especially the ability he used to deal with Scorpion and Deidara. That terrible high temperature seemed to be able to burn everything. Only the weak will desire to be saved by others. No one will save you in this chaotic world. Yahiko's death is the best proof that the stupid world needs a change. Uzumaki Nagato clasped his hands together, and Pain's 6 paths fell into the room. He evenly transferred his own chakra to 6 paths. Good luck. The space around Uchiha Obito was distorted. He used the Scarlet Sharingan to take a deep look at the Vortex Nagato, and then disappeared with the distorted space. The Iron Country. A steel fortress-like building lies in the vast snow. It is the Iron Country and the country of samurai. At this time, the conference hall. Reikage glanced at the whole audience, his dark face sank slightly, and his voice roared with anger. Where's the shadow? Too slow. 2 Scales Onoki took a sip of tea, glanced at Reikage with disdain, and sighed, alas, young people nowadays are too impatient. Suddenly, Terumi Mei's expression was ugly, and the pain in his waist gradually spread to his whole body. He covered his painful waist and took a breath of cold air. Hiss. My waist. Point 0. Terumi Mei crossed his hands and rested them on his chin, glanced at Onoki coldly, and said sarcastically, don't be stubborn when you are old, give your position to the young people. The Mist Village and the Rock Shinobi Village have a grudge. During the previous ninja war, many people died on both sides. How could I lose to you young people? Terumi Mei snorted coldly, then looked in the direction of the cage, and saw that it was a young man carrying a gourd. There was a trace of contempt in his eyes, and he said sarcastically, is there no one in San Shinobi Village? The cage is actually a kid. Gaara said expressionlessly and in a flat tone, strength has nothing to do with age. He was resurrected by Chiyo in exchange for her life, and then was promoted to the position of cage by a group of elders. Although he had lost one tail Shukaku, his chakra became more flexible after losing the tailed beast, resulting in his weak cage-level strength in summer. After dying once, he realized a lot of things, and now his personality is more humane. You are so bold, you. 2 Libras Onoki smiled sarcastically, like an old stubborn man. When he was about to say something, the pain in his waist made him frown suddenly. 4.5. It hurts, it hurts. 2 Scales, Onoki, had a distorted expression, holding his waist in pain and wailing. Reikage's forehead was bulging with veins, and he punched through the wall, shouting angrily, it doesn't matter who the new cage is, can you start the meeting quickly? It's obviously the Hokage who wants to hold this meeting, but she hasn't been seen until now, what the hell is going on? He is really impatient. Terumi Mei was puzzled and muttered, strange, Yu's instant body is very fast, how can she be late? Creaky. The door of the conference room was pushed open. The whole audience fell into a brief silence, and everyone looked towards the main door. Open black lens bracket 166 close black lens bracket the conflict between Yagyu Tsuki and Tsuchikage. Get out of the way. Yagyu Tsuki pushed the samurai in front of him away, glanced at the cages indifferently, and smiled softly after seeing Terumi Mei. Yes. All the samurai in the audience made way and stood on both sides honestly, leaving a wide skies path for Tsunade and others. Reikage stood up, looked at Tsunade and his group, and said angrily, Hokage, you are too slow. Yagyu Tsuki used his little finger to dig his earhole, looked at the Reikage who was like a fire monkey, and said speechlessly, are you in a hurry to reincarnate? What's so good about chirping? Stinky boy. Reikage's face sank, and veins appeared on his temples. A surge of anger surged in his heart. He wanted to rush over and beat Yagyu Tsuki severely, but he finally suppressed the feeling of running wild in his heart. Because he had fought with Yagyu Tsuki before, and was beaten without any ability to fight back. He was not interested in listening to the 5-cage talks, because he knew that most of the content of the talks was nothing more than Akatsuki's plan and the affairs of Rain Shinobi Village. Everyone present began to discuss things. Yagyu Tsuki bent down and looked down at Onoki, grabbed Onoki's beard roughly, and said sarcastically, you old man, you are still alive. It's really funny. Ding, Kuretsuchi and Akato secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If Yagyu Tsuki really wanted to continue making trouble, they would be helpless against Yagyu Tsuki. Only Tsuchikage could fight Yagyu Tsuki, but if Tsuchikage took action, it would become a conflict between the 2 villages. The growth rate of the divine tree is not bad, with an increase of 20 points in a short period of time. Don't worry about me, just chat about your own things. Yagyu Yu walked to the sofa, sat on it with his legs crossed, and then leaned back lazily and began to sleep. It is true that Tsuchikage is old, but don't go too far. Kuretsuchi's face sank, and he appeared next to Yagyu Yu in an instant, holding a kunai and lowering Yagyu Yu's neck. The fat on Akatsuki's face trembled, and his chubby hands grabbed Yagyu Yu's wrists, smiling and said, sorry, can you please let go of your hand? Don't underestimate the 3rd Tsuchikage of our village. 1. He had had many disputes with Yagyu Tsuki before. In the past, Yagyu Tsuki went directly to their rock shinobi village to arrest people in order to carry out the mission. Even he, who had seen many storms, was a little dumbfounded. So even if he rushed over, he would be asking for trouble. At that time, he directly tried to solve Yagyu Tsuki, but was killed by Yagyu Tsuki with wood style, was beaten without any chance to fight back, and he has been holding this grudge ever since. Team 7 gained 5 points of growth value, and the current growth value is 10 points of gold. The light and pleasant voice of the system sounded in Yagyu Yu's mind. Smelly boy, I haven't seen you for so many years, your white hair is still annoying. 2 scales, Onoki, looked at Yagyu Tsuki, and a hint of hostility flashed in his eyes. Don't be so stubborn at this age, die tomorrow, and then give your position to your granddaughter. Yagyu Yu glanced at Kuretsuchi behind Onoki, and after casually looking at Kuretsuchi's beautiful legs, she thought secretly in her heart. Are there still 80 points left? Humph. 2 scales Onoki snorted coldly, and did not stop Kuretsuchi and Akatsuki's behavior, because it was normal to have conflicts during the 5 cage talks. After all, the 5 major ninja villages were in a position of mutual hatred. I heard that he had solved several members of Akatsuki before. Sorry, I met something on the way. Tsunade walked to the Hokage seat and sat down, then put the hat on the table, and Konan, wearing a cloak covering his face, stood behind her. Not long after, Yagyu Tsuki even beat his granddaughter Kuretsuchi until she cried, which was just adding fuel to the fire. Tisk tisk tisk. Almost all the ninjas knew that Terumi Mei had a relationship with Yagyu Tsuki, so Ching saw Yagyu Tsuki being surrounded, and immediately asked Terumi Mei if she wanted to help. The third Tsuchikage was ridiculed by Yagyu Yu in public. As the granddaughter of Tsuchikage, how could she tolerate such a thing? Everyone in the audience looked at Konan strangely. Although they couldn't see Konan's face clearly, they could feel a strong chakra from Konan. It's okay. Terumi Mei shook her head. Kuretsuchi and Akatsuki were indeed very strong, but ordinary ninjas could do nothing to Yagyu Tsuki. Helping Song now would only make things worse. The divine tree gained 5 points of growth value, and only 1 point of yada is needed to complete the result. Yagyu Tsuki had incredible strength a long time ago, and after so much time, his strength should have become stronger, right? These legs are so wide. Ching bowed and asked in a low voice, Mizukage-sama, do we need help? Yagyu Yu said secretly. He respected Onoki from the bottom of his heart, so he couldn't tolerate Yagyu Yu's behavior. Okay, it's just a joke, don't make the atmosphere so awkward. 127. Yagyu Tsuki let go of Onoki's beard. The atmosphere in the whole venue was solemn, and everyone looked at Yagyu Tsuki surrounded by rock shinobi. They did not intend to persuade or anything, but watched the farce with a spectator's attitude. That behavior was completely indifferent to him, the Tsuchikage.
Tsunade said, You, let go of Tsuchikage, we have important things to talk about. 167 Pain 6 Paths invades the 5-cage summit.
The 5-cage meeting lasted for a long time, and most of the conversation was about Akatsuki, because there were rebel ninjas from various ninja villages in Akatsuki, and they also discussed the Chunin exam next month. Who will solve the problem of Rain Shinobi Village? Since Pain. Should I say Uzumaki Nagato? Since he has the legendary Rinnegan, it will be difficult for this cage alone to solve him. Terumi Mei crossed her hands, lowered her chin, and said with a smile, so I suggest that Tsuchikage, who knows the Rinnegan best, come forward. Although the 5-cage talked a lot at the meeting, Rock Shinobi Village and Cloud Shinobi Village never expressed their opinions, but it is normal to think about it. If Pain takes action, Konoha Village will be the first to be attacked. There is no Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi at all, so the attitude of Tsuchikage and Reikage is indifferent. But if Tsuchikage can be persuaded, the chances of defeating Pain can be greatly improved, because the King Cage has a very domineering blood inheritance net dust escape. Humph. Akatsuki used to be a rebellious ninja in our Rock Shinobi Village, but now it has been solved by Yagyu Tsuki. Rain Shinobi Village has no feud with us. If there is a feud, it should be Konoha, right? 2 days Scales Onoki snorted coldly, glanced at Tsunade, and said, 9 Tails is in Konoha, so Akatsuki should capture 9 Tails first, right? He is a conservative. If it does not harm the interests of the village, he is not interested in making an enemy, let alone an enemy with Rinnegan. Tsunade frowned and said in a cold voice, after capturing 9 Tails, Uzumaki Nagato's target is you, old man, don't just stand there and do nothing. Gaara looked at Onoki expressionlessly and said, Tsuchikage, what are you afraid of? It has nothing to do with the village. This is a crisis in the ninja world. Onoki snorted, no matter what, it's not your turn to teach me. Yagyu Tsuki slowly sat up, scratched his messy white hair, and said speechlessly, you talk too much nonsense. You don't need to worry about Rain Shinobi Village or Uzumaki Nagato. He is my important tool. Can you please not take action on your own? Yagyu Tsuki said, you don't need to worry so much. Just be a mountain king in the village. I will solve all the problems here, but after the matter is over, I will get some benefits from you. Hey, you. Movie Eye didn't finish his words. It seems that there is no need to wait until later, this dog is faster than expected. Yagyu Tsuki raised his eyebrows slightly, his black eyes turned into misty blue Tensigan, and he looked indifferently in the distance. He sensed an abnormal eye power, which should be the Rinnegan. Uzumaki Nagato was in a hurry to take action. Maybe he wanted to take Konan back? Although he wanted to keep Uzumaki Nagato and Obito, thinking that it might be useful in the system mission, but since the enemy has come to the door, there is no need to keep it. What do you mean? Everyone in the audience was slightly stunned. What does Lu Shengyue mean by saying that there is no need to wait until later? Could it be that? But how is it possible? Shua, a black figure appeared out of thin air in the meeting. Her long orange hair was combed behind her head, and she was wearing a heavy black-red cloud coat. There were many strange black sticks on her face. Her skin was pale and colorless, and she looked like a living dead person. As the animal road suddenly appeared, everyone in the audience was alert at the same time. The guards of the major ninja villages stood in front of their own shadows. Who is it? Everyone in the audience had a solemn expression. Since the intruder could appear quietly, it was enough to show that the intruder had the means to ignore the barrier. Animal Road. Lu Shengyue did not stand up, and looked at the Animal Road in the meeting lightly. Backquote summoning technique. The beast said nothing more. His colorless eyes swept the whole audience, and then he slapped his hands heavily on the ground. Dark runes spread in all directions, and then with a bang, pale smoke covered the whole venue. Bang. As the pale smoke rose, 5 peons appeared out of thin air in the venue. All of them were wearing Akatsuki robes, and their eyes were all circle-shaped Rinnegan. Pain. Tsunade's face changed slightly, and she suddenly jumped back, pulling a safer distance from Pain's 6 paths, and then condensed chakra on the soles of her feet to prevent being attracted by the strange gravity. She had heard Konan talk about the ability of Rinnegan before, which can control gravity and repulsion respectively, and these two forces are also the core abilities of Amazing Vortex Nagato. Pain. Everyone in the audience was slightly stunned. They were just discussing how to deal with Pain, and Pain actually took the initiative to find the door the next moment. After everyone reacted, they also jumped back and followed Pain's 6 paths. Paths pulled away from him because they had just heard Tsunade talk about Pain's ability. Rinnegan is a force that is 10 forces above all things. Let me introduce myself. We are Pain, the god Pain. Pain Tiandao had no expression on his face. The other 5 paths of Pain stood behind him. He looked down at the whole audience indifferently and proudly. His sight finally stopped at Yagyu Tsuki and he said indifferently, "You must be Yagyu Tsuki, the most powerful ninja in the world." 168. Super, Shinra Tensai. Do you understand? I know everything about you. Even if you can't use your abilities, I know them very well. Lu Shengyue glanced at Pain's eyes, and a smile slightly raised his lips, saying sarcastically, "After all, it's a pirated ability, so there's nothing to worry about. Rinnegan is the power of God, enough to change the world. Your country's recklessness ends here." Tiandao Pain glanced around and stopped at the woman in the cloak. Even if the woman's face was covered by the cloak, he could tell at a glance that this person was Konan. Distinguished heavenly gods? It's really troublesome. The only way to solve Lu Shengyue and get Shisui's eyes is to unlock distinguished heavenly gods. Tsunade stared at Tendo Pain and said coldly, "Reckless? It's you who are reckless, right? How many people have been killed by you capturing tailed beasts and doing evil everywhere?" 310 Tendo Pain's indifferent voice was filled with anger, saying, "It's really impossible to communicate. Your big country is the abusive perpetrator. Everything makes us realize that humans are stupid creatures who will never understand each other no matter what. I want to put an end to the war in this war-torn world. This is God's mission." Tendo Pain slowly rose to the sky, and the 5 Pains fell to the ground as if they had lost consciousness. At this moment, all the power of Pain's 6 paths hit Tendo Pain. How can we stop the war quickly during the war between nations? Just bring the forbidden technique weapon to the warring countries. The person who holds this weapon will definitely use its power. Thousands of people died in an instant, and anyone would feel terrified. Tien Dao Pain looked down at the whole audience and said in a condescending tone, "And the tailed beast is the best weapon. You have destroyed my village, my friends, and my family, and Akatsuki just gave them back to you, so that you can feel the same pain as us." Pain? The pain of the weak is really hard to understand. They can't even protect important women, and they even have ridiculous delusions of changing the world. But having women robbed is also a kind of pain. Lu Shengyue hugged Konan's slender waist and looked at Tien Dao Pain indifferently, with a look of contempt in his eyes. "Master." Konan's face covered by the cloak blushed slightly, and he twisted his body a little uncomfortably. He felt itchy when Lu Shengyue hugged his waist, but there was also a very strange sense of satisfaction. Tsunade glared at Yagyu Tsuki and cursed in a low voice, "Pervert." The people present didn't think too much, because they had never seen Konan. At this time, everyone's attention was on the destructive chakra of Tendo Pain. Tendo Pain was speechless. "To be honest, I was a little angry. Feel the pain, experience the pain, accept the pain, and understand the pain. Those who don't know pain will not know what peace is. From now on, let the world understand pain." Tendo Pain burst out a strong chakra, which made everyone present tremble in their hearts. ADBJ. Even cage-level strongmen could feel the oppression. "Master, be careful, This is the strongest ability of Rinnegan. The ground around Konan trembled, and countless white pieces of paper rose from the ground, like a mediocre card, protecting Natsu and Yagyu Tsuki. The strongest ability of Rinnegan? The mood of the whole audience sank. Although they had not seen the strongest ability of Rinnegan, they could feel the threat from this chakra. Even Onoki could feel the threat, just like standing in front of Uchiha Madara. Super Shinra Tensho. With Tendo Pain as the core, a strong repulsive force broke out, and this repulsive force blew away everything on the ground like a gust of wind. Boom boom boom. The whole Iron Kingdom trembled violently, and cracks spread out on the earth like an earthquake. After the cracks expanded, they eventually formed canyons, and finally the whole Iron Kingdom was reduced to ashes, turning into a giant pit like a world wonder. Gray smoke rolled and dust filled the sky, at this time, a mountain top in the distance. It's really a big deal. Didn't Nagato consider going to the demolition team? Yagyu Tsuki put Terumi Mei, Tsunade. Konan threw it on the ground, sipped the lollipop in his mouth, and looked at the giant pit in the distance. At a glance at the super large pit, it was hard to tell that there was once a small country there. The power of Shinra Tensei after it is fully extended is indeed a considerable force, but because this move has a large range, the power of attacking a single unit has become much weaker. It is a move suitable for demolition. This is the power of Rinnegan, beyond the scope of understanding. Terumi Mei sat on the ground in a duck-like posture, staring blankly at the pit with gray smoke billowing in the distance, with a trace of shock in her eyes. This attack alone can destroy everything in the world. The attack that Pain just used is probably beyond the power of the tailed beast, right? Did you just use the instant body? Tsunade looked away from the pit and looked at Yagyu Tsuki in confusion. She was still in the Iron Kingdom just now, how come she appeared outside the country in the next second? This instant body is more like teleportation. Could it be time and space? Yagyu Tsuki said, yes, it's what you think, the ability of instant body in time and space. Flying Thunder God. Open black lens bracket 169 close black lens bracket take action. Just watch the show. Flying Thunder God? You can actually Flying Thunder God? Even Tsunade couldn't believe it. She had never seen Lu Shungyue use Flying Thunder God before, but how come a Flying Thunder God suddenly appeared now? Lu Shungyue raised his chin slightly, showing a hint of arrogant and frivolous smile at the corner of his mouth, and said arrogantly, is it difficult? Who do you think I am?
Okay, it's hard to say how difficult the time and space are, because it is a reward for completing a task, but there is definitely no way to explain the system, so just pretend that I learned it easily. Don't pretend, how to solve it now.
Tsunade rolled her eyes at Li Xiao, looked at the huge pit in the distance again, frowned and said, the shadows in other villages. Maybe in danger. If you can't stand this level of attack, then die. Anyway, there are a lot of shadows of this level. Yagyu Tsuki mocked, if you can't defend against Pain's attack, then what's the point of being a cage? It would be better to die sooner and replace him sooner. Of course, they are fine. After all, they are the ones who bear the title of cage.
If they died from this level of attack, I would die of laughter, but...
Gaara doesn't seem to be so good. He just used a lot of sand to barely be safe, and it also consumed a lot of chakra. Yagyu Tsuki used Tensigen to look into the distance, explaining the situation in the distance indifferently. Reikage directly resisted with his body. Tsuchikage defended with Earth style, but Gaara, as a weak shadow, consumed a lot of chakra to barely resist. So, what did Nagato use Shinra Tensei for? No one died, no one was fine. It just destroyed the Iron Kingdom, but the important targets were safe and sound, and Uzumaki Nagato himself consumed a lot of chakra.
Shinra Tensei was used to show off, right? Tsunade looked at Konan and asked with a straight face, how many tens of thousands of areas was that attack just now?
Konan thought for a while and said seriously, the limit of Rinnegan repulsion also consumed the chakra of Pain's 6 paths, but Uzumaki Nagato didn't consume much chakra. The chakra consumed by Pain will soon be supplied by Nagato.
The Uzumaki clan is really troublesome. Tsunade snorted coldly. If the chakra of an ordinary person is a bottle of water, then the chakra of the Uzumaki clan is a river. Almost every Uzumaki clan member has enough chakra to rival the tailed beasts. You are also a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, right? Yagyu was speechless. Tsunade's grandmother was from the Uzumaki clan, so Tsunade is also a descendant of the Uzumaki clan. Thinking about Tsunade's personality.
Well, the Uzumaki clan is quite troublesome. Stupid, what are you thinking about? Tsunade grabbed Yagyu's collar and glared at Yagyu with anger on her face. She could probably guess what Yagyu was thinking, which was nothing more than thinking that she was troublesome. There is no time for you two to flirt now. You should prioritize the enemies in front of you. Since Pain is overconsumed, let's deal with them before he recovers. Terumi Mei looked at the mischievous Yagyu Tsuki and the angry Tsunade, and sighed in her heart. Why does it feel like coaxing two children? Yagyu Tsuki likes to make trouble, and Tsunade also likes to get angry. There will be trouble after getting married and living together. Fortunately, Yuhi Kurenai is a rational and calm woman, otherwise the women will live with Yagyu Tsuki and make a big fuss every day. I hate taking advantage of others. Let's just watch the show for now. Wait for Pain's 6 paths and other puppets to recover chakra. Of course, Maybe before the chakra is restored, old man Tsuchikage can deal with pain, right? Yagyu Tsuki sat cross-legged on the ground, took out a bag of potato chips and ate them, looking at the situation in the distance with an attitude of watching a show. To be honest, Pain thought things were too easy. If he had just stayed in Rain Shinobi Village and waited for a good day to fight, he could have lived longer. 0. Please give me flowers, but Pain directly invaded the 5-cage summit, which was no different from committing suicide, because Pain underestimated the strength of old man Tsuchikage. Pain's move also affected his own plan, but since Pain took the initiative to commit suicide, he would change his plan for the time being and let old man Tsuchikage fight Pain. It can be said that old man Tsuchikage is currently the strongest ninja among the 5-cage. As long as it is touched by dust release, everything will be reduced to ashes in an instant, even if Yagyu Tsuki abandons all defenses and uses his body to resist dust release. Oh, because dust release is the decomposition of matter, it is definitely not an attack in the form of strength. Watching the show, everyone in the audience was speechless. Even Conan was surprised. Yagyu Tsuki just said that he would deal with Pain, but when Pain appeared, he chose to watch the show. His expression changed faster than turning a page. Yagyu Tsuki said, "I like to deal with enemies in full state, and vice versa. I am not interested in bullying trash in incomplete state. You can go and fight, I will give you encouragement," Yagyu Tsuki added. Everyone in the audience was silent. Yagyu Tsuki was simply too difficult to deal with. "I can't do it." Tsunade sat on the ground in boredom. She now had a little life in her belly, so she couldn't act rashly like before. Terumi Mei thought for a moment and said, "Then I will accompany Tsunade." Conan didn't say anything, because she was following the orders of Lu Shungyue. Yang Shungyue ate potato chips and said vaguely, "Look, you guys want to watch the show too. Don't worry, if old man Tsuchikage doesn't deal with Pain in a short time, I will consider taking action and killing these useless enemies instantly."